Take a moment now simply to be here. Let the weight of the day rest where it lies, and feel how good it is to stop. Breathe in and breathe slowly out. Tonight you are stepping into an old country village at twilight, when the fields lie blue with evening and the first stars prick the sky above the church tower. The lanes are still. A dog turns once by a doorstep and lies down. The whole village leans towards sleep, and so may you. Let your breath grow soft and even, and with every gentle exhale, let yourself drift a little further into rest. In the cottage kitchen, the spring evening gathers soft and warm, lit only by the low glow of the range and the last grey light at the small deep window. A pot of broth simmers gently on the hob, breathing out a savoury, comforting steam, and a loaf rests cooling on the scrubbed wooden table. Bunches of dried herbs and a string of onions hang from the dark low beam. A cat dozes on the windowsill, watching the fading garden through half-closed eyes. The flagstones still hold the warmth of the day. Outside, the first owl calls across the dusk. There is a deep and homely peace in this small warm room at evening, the gentle simmer and the soft light of it, and you feel the long day quietly and completely let go. On the kitchen table, a bowl of eggs rests in a shallow dish of straw, their shells pale brown and faintly speckled. You lift one and feel its cool, smooth weight, the slight roughness where a fleck of feather still clings. Some are larger, some small, none of them quite the same, each one a soft and rounded shape in the dim. The straw beneath them is golden and dry, rustling faintly when you shift the dish. The eggs smell faintly of the henhouse, clean and earthy. There is no breakfast to make in the dark, no shells to crack tonight. The eggs simply nest in their straw, quiet and whole, holding their stillness, while the table grows shadowed and the kitchen sinks into its deep evening calm. Out in the dark, a soft wind passes over the ripe wheat field, and the whole expanse whispers as the heavy heads bend and lift together. It is a long, low sound, dry and gentle, a vast field breathing in the night, swelling as the gust crosses and falling as it moves on. You stand at the edge of the field and listen to the wheat speak in its quiet voice, the rustle rolling away from you toward the far hedges and then returning. There is nothing sharp in it, only this enormous soft sighing of grain and air under the dark sky. It is a patient, endless sound, and it draws your breathing down into its slow, easy tide. The old churchyard lies hushed beneath the rain, the worn stones darkening as the water gathers in their grooves. You shelter beneath the lich gate, watching the soft fall sweep across the grass between the yews. Each leaf of the great dark trees holds its drops a moment, then lets them go. The rain on the gravel path makes the gentlest of sounds, like someone smoothing cloth. A lamp glows warm in the vicarage beyond the wall. The air is cool and green and clean, and the bell in the tower stays silent, resting like everything else. You stand a while in the peaceful dim, letting the rain fall around you, asking nothing, until your breathing slows to match its quiet and your thoughts grow soft and few. In the small barn the animals are sleeping, and the warmth of them fills the air like a slow tide. The 2 cows lie folded in the straw, breathing long and even, and now and then one shifts with a soft creak of bedding. The smell is sweet and dusty, of hay and milk and warm hide. High in the rafters, a barn owl perches without a sound, content to stay still. A faint scattering of moonlight comes through a gap in the boards and lays a pale stripe across the floor. Outside, the night is deep and untroubled. Inside, everything is warm and gathered close, and the slow rhythm of the sleeping beasts is steady as a heartbeat, until your own breathing begins, quietly, to match it. You lie awake in the loft above the kitchen, where the warmth of the day's baking still lingers in the boards. The rain has come on softly after dusk, and now it falls in a long, even hush against the little window and the sloping roof close above your head. The smell of bread and wood smoke fills the small dark space. Far below, a kettle ticks as it cools on the banked fire. You can hear the rain dripping from the eaves into the butt, a slow and gentle plink among the steadier patter. There is nowhere to be, nothing left undone. You burrow deeper into the straw-filled tick, listening to the rain wrap the whole cottage in its quiet, and sleep begins to gather softly at the edges of your mind. On the village green the mist lies even and low, a soft grey sheet over the close-cropped grass, and the old oak in the centre rises out of it like something half-remembered from a dream. Its great boughs are lost in the white above, dripping slow and steady onto the leaves below. You walk to the foot of the tree and lean your back against the cool, damp bark, looking out at the blurred shapes of cottages around the edge of the green. A horse moves somewhere unseen, its hoofbeats soft and padded by the fog. Nothing hurries. The green simply holds the morning gently, grey and quiet and kind, and you rest there, your breathing slow, content to be still inside the hush. In the small back room of the old house, you sit by the cooling hearth with a cup of weak tea gone barely warm. The fire has burned down to a soft red glow, and you watch the embers shift and settle without any wish to feed them more. The house creaks gently as it cools, an old sound you have known all your life. On the mantel stand a few worn things, a clay pipe, a cracked jug, a faded photograph you no longer need to look at to remember. The day is fully finished. No one waits for anything from you now. You hold the cup in both hands and feel the last of its warmth, and a slow contentment spreads through you like the dying fire's glow. You walk the narrow towpath beside the still canal at the village edge, the water lying dark and motionless as a sheet of black glass. Not a breath of wind disturbs it, so that every star above is mirrored faithfully below, a second sky resting quietly at your feet. The path is soft and even, and you stroll it without hurry, looking now up, now down at the doubled glitter. Reeds stand dark and silent along the bank. The night is mild and smells faintly of water and grass. The village sleeps beyond a row of dark trees. You feel a deep and gentle calm walking here between the two starry skies, your thoughts slowing to the stillness of the water, until it seems the whole quiet world is holding its breath softly around you, just for rest. Inside the cottage bedroom, the bed is turned down and warm with a stone bottle tucked beneath the quilts, and you stand for a moment at the window before climbing in. The snow falls steady in the dark, drifting past the small panes, lit faintly by the moon's pale glow behind the clouds. The room is cool and quiet, the air fresh. Below, the lane lies smooth and white, the garden softened into gentle mounds. You watch the flakes descend for a while, your breath slow, your body growing heavy with the day's tiredness. Then you draw the curtain partway, leaving a thin gap to watch the snow, and slip beneath the warm quilts, and lie there listening to the deep silence of the snowy night settle over the sleeping village. In the corner of the cottage kitchen, the old grandfather clock keeps its slow watch through the night, its long pendulum swinging in patient, unhurried strokes. Each tick falls into the dark and is followed by another, steady and sure, a sound so even it has long since become part of the silence. The brass face catches the faintest glimmer from a dying ember on the hearth. The room is warm and dim, and smells of wood smoke and the day's cooking. The pendulum swings on, marking time it does not hurry, dividing the deep night into soft and equal pieces. You sit in the worn armchair and let the slow tick fill your ears, and the unbroken rhythm of it loosens you, breath by breath, into the same calm and measured stillness. The lane to the church lies still and grey beneath the great old yew trees. You walk it slowly as the dawn comes on, your footsteps soft on the dewy grass that edges the worn path. The little stone church stands quiet, its tower dark against the paling sky, its windows holding only the faint reflection of the morning. A blackbird sings one low, liquid phrase from somewhere in the yew, then falls silent. The air is cool and smells faintly of moss and old stone. Dew hangs thick on the long grass between the leaning headstones. You pause beneath the spreading branches, breathing the deep quiet of the place, and feel the slow peace of the hour settle gently into your bones. In the old village, evening settles soft over the thatched eaves, and a pair of swallows tucks deep into the cool shadow of a barn beam. You can imagine them there, breast feathers smoothed against the warm wood, small heads turned beneath one folded wing. The day's long looping flights are done, and now there is only the slow rise and fall of their breathing. Below them, hay holds the warmth of afternoon, releasing it gently into the dim. A moth drifts past the doorway and away. The swallows do not stir. They have found their place for the night, high and safe and still, and the whole barn seems to breathe along with them. Within the cattle by the air is warm and close, sweet with the breath of the resting beasts and the smell of clean straw. Rain falls steadily on the low roof above, a soft and constant sound that seems to deepen the calm inside. You sit on an upturned pail in the lantern light, listening as a cow shifts and settles, as a soft tail swishes in the dim. The animals are unbothered by the weather. They chew slowly and let their heavy eyes half close. Beyond the wide door, the yard runs with thin silver water, and the night is cool and dark. Here it is all warmth and patience, and the gentle drumming overhead, and you feel your own body grow heavy and content. Beneath the eaves of the village shop, a row of icicles has formed, hanging slender and clear, and the snow drifts past them in the dim light of a nearby lantern. You stand sheltered in the doorway, out of the gentle fall, and watch the flakes come down over the quiet street. The cobbles have gone smooth and white, the gutters softened, the worn step beneath your feet dusted at its edges. Across the lane, a cottage window glows warm and low. No one passes. The cold is mild and the air is still, and the only movement in all the world seems to be the slow descent of the snow. You linger in the doorway a while, comforted by the quiet, watching the icicles catch the faint gold light as the white gathers softly all around. Out beyond the last cottage, an old hedgerow grows thick and tangled, and within it a family of sparrows has gone quiet for the night. They are pressed close together along a sheltered twig, a row of small round shapes barely darker than the leaves around them. The hedge keeps the wind away, and the last warmth of the soil rises slowly through the roots. You might picture their feathers fluffed into soft grey spheres, eyes long since closed. Now and then one shifts a fraction, settling deeper, and then is still. The lane beside them is empty and pale, and the sparrows sleep on, untroubled, gathered safe in the green dark of their hedge. You climb a gentle rise at the edge of the village, and sit in the long grass to look back over the rooftops. The thatch and tile glow warm in the lowering sun, smoke rising thin and straight from one or two chimneys into the still evening air. Below, the lanes wind quietly between the cottages, empty and peaceful, and the whole little place seems to rest in a hollow of gold. A church tower catches the last bright light upon its weather vane. Sheep graze somewhere on the slope behind you, their soft tearing of the grass a gentle background sound. You sit with your arms loose around your knees, watching the village settle, and feel a deep and quiet gladness spread slowly through you. Behind the inn, the small back garden settles into the spring dusk, its few rough tables empty now beneath an arbor of climbing greenery. You sit at one of them with the cool evening air about you, and the scent of the first stalks drifts over from the border. A lantern hangs unlit from the arbor's beam, swaying just slightly. Beyond the low wall, the orchard fades into shadow, and a single late thrush sings on, slow and sweet, from somewhere among the blossom. The warmth of the day still rises faintly from the worn brick paths. The sky deepens overhead, the first stars showing one by one. There is a snug and private peace in this little walled garden at evening, hidden and quiet, and you sit on as the gentle dark comes softly down. On the kitchen windowsill, a row of pewter spoons rests in a chipped earthenware jar, each handle worn smooth by years of patient hands. You let your fingers trail over the cool metal, feeling the faint nicks and the soft curve where thumb after thumb has pressed. A thread of moonlight slides across the table, lighting the gentle dents in the wood and the pale rings left by warm cups long since carried away. Somewhere a clock ticks, slow and unhurried, marking nothing in particular. The spoons hold their stillness, the jar holds the spoons, and the quiet kitchen holds them all. There is nothing here that needs tending, only soft shapes settling deeper into the dim, restful evening. The orchard gate stands open onto the lane, and beyond it the apple trees stand dark and full against a sky, still faintly rose at the western edge. You walk in among them as the light fades, the grass cool and damp now around your ankles, the air sweet with the green smell of unripe fruit. A blackbird gives its last few notes from somewhere high in the boughs. Windfalls lie soft in the grass, and the first moths drift pale between the trunks. The shapes of the trees grow gentle and indistinct as the dusk deepens. Somewhere far off, a church clock strikes the hour, slow and soft, and the sound drifts away over the fields. You stand quiet among the old trees and let the evening fold around you, peaceful and complete. The village pond mirrors a sky gone soft with rose and gold, and a family of ducks drifts slowly across it, leaving long shining wakes that fade as gently as they form. You sit on the grassy bank in the last warmth and watch them paddle without aim, dipping their heads now and then beneath the burnished surface. Reeds whisper faintly at the water's edge. An old willow trails its yellowing leaves into the shallows, and a dragonfly rests motionless upon a stem. The light thickens to deep amber, and the ducks gather near the bank to settle for the night, tucking their heads beneath their wings. A stillness spreads across the water, and you stay a while, soothed by the small, slow rhythms of the drowsing pond. On the low rise beyond the orchard, an old windmill stands against the spring sky, its great sails stilled and dark now in the gathering dusk. You walk up to it through the long grass, the evening soft and mild around you, and rest a hand on the cool weathered boards of its round white base. The miller's day is done, the sails lashed and quiet, and the whole structure seems to drowse upon its little hill. Below, the village lights begin to show, small and warm in the blue valley. A light wind that would once have turned the sails now barely stirs the grass. There is a great calm patience in the stilled old mill at evening, standing watch over the quiet land, and you stand beside it a while and feel that patience settle into you. The forge stands cold and dark this late, its great fire banked to a few faint embers that glow like distant stars in the gloom. You step inside out of the snow and feel the lingering warmth still held in the thick stone walls, a gentle heat that has not yet given up to the cold. Tools hang quiet on their hooks, their iron edges dim. The anvil sits silent and patient in the middle of the floor. Through the open door you can see the snow falling slow and soft across the yard, lit faintly by the embers' last red glow. You linger in the warm dark, listening to the tick of cooling metal, and the deep stillness of the winter night wraps the old forge in peace. Up on the open moor edge, the dawn spreads vast and slow across the heather. You stand where the village's last field gives way to wild rough ground, and the great expanse rolls away grey and silver toward the paling east. Dew lies heavy on the low heather, and the air is cool and faintly sweet with peat and bracken. A curlew calls once, far off, its long fluting cry hanging gentle in the stillness, then fading. A few sheep graze on the slope below, soft pale shapes in the dimness. You breathe the wide clean air and watch the color rise slowly over the immense quiet land, feeling wonderfully small beneath the vast and gentle sky, and deeply at peace. Along the garden fence, a loose board taps softly in the night breeze, a slow, hollow knock that comes whenever the wind stirs and falls silent when it stills. It is a gentle, woody sound, not insistent, just the patient tapping of old timber against its post. You lie in the dim room with the window open and listen to the board keep its loose time with the wind, a soft knock, a pause, another, the rhythm shifting with each lull and gust. There is nothing in it to startle, only this idle, homely tapping out in the dark garden. The sound comes and goes, and its gentle irregularity lulls you the way a hand patting a child might, slow and kind. The thatched roof of the old longhouse glows deep gold in the last of the sun, its weathered straw soft and thick and warm-looking against the apricot sky. You stand in the cottage garden and look up at it, at the way the light catches the ridge and pours down the slope of the thatch. House martins dart and wheel around the eaves, gathering for the night, their twittering high and faint. Hollyhocks lean against the white wall below, their last blooms glowing. The small windows have begun to catch a soft inner lamplight. Smoke curls thin and pale from the squat chimney. Everything about the old house speaks of shelter and rest, and you stand in the cooling garden watching the gold deepen on the thatch, filled with a quiet and contented calm. From the bridge over the river you watch the last color fade from the water, the gold giving way to dove gray and then to the deep, soft blue of dusk. You lean on the warm stone parapet, worn smooth by generations of leaning arms, and let your eyes follow the slow current beneath you. A pair of swans drift downstream, pale and ghostly in the failing light, their reflections trembling. The willows on the bank have gone dark and still. A bat flickers out from beneath the arch and is gone. The first lamp glows yellow in a cottage window across the water. The air is cool now and smells of the river. You stand along while in the gathering dusk, watching the water slip endlessly by, and feel yourself grow calm and unhurried as the evening. Imagine you are crossing a wooden stile into a quiet field, as the village behind you settles into the deep stillness of dusk. A faint breeze moves over the grass, cool and soft, rippling the meadow in slow waves that travel away toward the dark hedgerow. The stile's old wood is smooth and warm beneath your hand. Sheep rest in scattered pale shapes across the field, unmoving, content. Above, the sky has faded to a deep grey blue, and the first owl calls once far off, then is silent. You sit a moment on the stile, in no hurry to go on, breathing the clean field air, and the slow wind through the grass and the deep quiet of the evening make your whole body feel light and at ease. The village wheelwright's yard lies still beneath the snow, the half-finished wheels leaning against the shed wall, their spokes traced in soft white. You stand at the edge of the yard, where the falling flakes settle on the timber stacked neat beneath its lane to roof. The smell of cut wood lingers faintly in the cold air. A workbench sits dusted with snow, a few tools resting where they were set down at the day's end. The shed door is closed, the lamp within dark. All around, the snow comes down slow and soundless in the windless night. There is a quiet satisfaction in the resting yard, the patient half-made things waiting for tomorrow's hands, and you stand a while in the gentle cold, watching the white gather over the careful work of the day. In the loft the old looms and forgotten things rest beneath a soft grey film of dust, untouched through the long quiet night. A wooden chest sits closed in the corner, holding folded linens and the faint sweet smell of dried lavender tucked between them. Cobwebs hang undisturbed in the rafters, catching the faintest gleam from a small dim window. The air is still and warm and smells of old wood and dust and stored things long at rest. By day no one comes here, by night it is even quieter, a small kept space of memory and peace beneath the eaves. You sit on the closed chest in the gentle dim, breathing the calm of all these patient, resting things, and the deep stillness of the forgotten loft settles slowly and kindly over your weary mind. Beneath the wide night sky, the faint, slow lapping of water against the bank of the village pond is the only sound, a soft, regular wash that comes and returns. A breeze ripples the dark surface, and the small waves reach the muddy edge with a gentle slap and a whisper of withdrawing water, then a pause, then again. You sit on the cool grass at the water's edge and let the lapping keep its patient time, the soft reach and the soft return, even as breathing. There is the faint smell of water and reeds, and the deep quiet all around. The gentle, repeating wash of the pond loosens your thoughts and draws them out smooth and slow towards sleep. The blacksmith's water trough beside the lane is filled to the brim, its surface holding a still grey reflection of the dawn sky. You pause beside it, watching a few fallen leaves float motionless on the cold water. A horse stands tethered nearby, half asleep, one hind hoof tipped, its tail swishing slow and easy. The morning is hushed and cool, the mist lying low along the road. Sparrows come down to drink at the trough's edge, dipping their small heads without fear of you. The air smells of cold water and dust and horse. Nothing presses, nothing hurries. You rest your hand on the worn wooden rim and watch the slow, sleepy scene, feeling the deep calm of the early lane settle gently over you. The hearthstone is broad and grey, smoothed by generations of feet and the slow heat of countless fires. You crouch and lay your palm flat against it, feeling the faint, lingering warmth held deep in the stone. Fine ash has drifted into the cracks, soft as powder, pale against the dark. A small iron poker leans in its corner, its handle worn to a comfortable shine. The embers have long gone grey, glowing nowhere now, only resting. A faint smell of wood smoke clings to everything, warm and familiar. You need not stir the fire or feed it, it has done its gentle work for the day. The hearth simply holds its quiet heat, and you let the calm of it seep slowly into you. You walk the towpath beside the still canal as the light fades from the water, the village lying quiet along the far bank. A single narrow boat is moored beneath the willows, its little chimney sending up a thin grey thread of smoke. The water is glassy and unmoving, holding the last colours of the sky. You go slowly, hands in your pockets, in no hurry to arrive anywhere. You remember walking this same path through all the changing seasons, the ice in winter, the dragonflies in summer. The memory floats by as gently as the water. A water bird settles among the reeds with a soft rustle. The dusk deepens over the canal, and you breathe the cool damp air and feel your thoughts grow as calm and level as the unmoving water. A single lantern burns low in the cottage window, its flame steady behind the glass while the rain falls in long, soft threads beyond. You sit by the sill with a cup of warm milk cooling in your hands, watching the droplets gather and slide. The lane outside has gone silver and still, the puddles widening slowly between the stones. No one passes, no one needs to. The fields beyond the garden wall drink quietly. You can hear the rain on the leaves of the old pear tree, on the water barrel, on the slates of the byre. Each sound is gentle and certain. You set the cup aside, laying your head against the cool frame, and let the evening soften around you. You walk the long village green where the grass is cool and damp beneath your feet, and the deep stillness of the hour holds the whole open space in a soft hush. A faint breeze moves across the green from the direction of the sleeping orchard, and you can smell the sweetness of late apples in the dark. The old oak at the center stands like a great quiet guardian, its leaves stirring once, faintly, then settling. Far off, a single window glows amber behind its curtain, then dims as a lamp is lowered. The dew gathers slowly on the blades around your ankles. You stand here a while, breathing the cool, sweet air, and feel how patient and unhurried the night truly is. In a nest box fixed to the orchard wall, a family of blue tits has gone quiet for the night. The tiny birds are packed warm together in the dark hollow, a soft tangle of feathers and small breaths. Outside, the apple trees stand still, their blossom long since fallen, their leaves dark against the dimming sky. The scent of ripening fruit drifts faintly on the cool air. You can picture the little ones nestled deep, eyes shut, hearts beating soft and fast. No wind stirs the orchard now. The nest box holds its small warm sleepers safe, a quiet pocket of life against the cooling stone, and the whole orchard seems to lean close and keep watch over them through the night. In a quiet corner of a cottage garden, an old wooden swing hangs from the bough of a great beech tree, and you sit gently upon it. The afternoon sun filters through the high leaves, scattering soft light across the grass below. You push off lightly with one foot, and the swing moves in a slow, easy arc, the rope creaking softly with each gentle sway. The warm air moves past your face, then settles, then moves again. Birds murmur in the branches above. The garden is hushed and golden and entirely yours for this quiet hour. You let the swing slow to a gentle drift, your eyes half closing, lulled by the soft motion and the warm light and the deep, restful peace of the place. On the cottage windowsill, a row of small clay pots holds geraniums and a sprig of thyme, all beaded with the night's dew. You stand at the open window in the soft grey light, looking out over the sleeping village rooftops. The air that drifts in is cool and clean, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and wood smoke. A cat sits on the wall below, perfectly still, watching the empty lane. The sky is a pale, even grey, with no sharp edges anywhere. You rest your elbows on the worn wooden sill and simply breathe, letting the quiet of the early village fill you. There is nothing you must do for a long while yet, and you are content to watch the morning gently brighten. In the dim dairy, the stone shelves hold their rows of pans, the milk within them pale and still. You step inside from the cool morning, and the air is colder yet, smelling cleanly of milk and scrubbed slate. A small high window lets in the first grey light, which falls soft across the worn flagstone floor. The wide shallow pans gleam faintly, their cream risen smooth and undisturbed overnight. All is quiet and orderly and deeply calm. A moth rests motionless upon the cool wall, waiting out the dawn. You stand a moment in the still cool room, breathing its clean simple scent, and feel the quiet order of the place ease your thoughts into a gentle, settled rest. You lie in the warm dark of the cottage, the very last one awake, listening to the rain ease at last towards stillness. For hours it has fallen steady on the thatch, a gentle drumming that has carried the whole house to sleep, and now it softens, the drops coming slower, lighter, kinder. The fire is a faint red breath in the hearth below. The window holds only soft grey dark, and the slow last drips from the eaves. The air is cool and clean and smells of rain-washed earth. You feel utterly at peace, wrapped in warmth, the night quiet and complete around you. The rain whispers its final gentle notes against the roof, and you let your breathing slow to match them, drifting softly, softly, down into untroubled sleep. The snow has been falling since dusk, and now the whole village lies hushed beneath it. You walk slowly along the lane, your boots pressing soft prints into the powder, each step a quiet sound that vanishes almost at once. Lamplight glows amber in the cottage windows, warm circles laid gently on the white drifts below. The smoke rises straight and slow from every chimney, threading up into a sky thick with cloud. The cold is clean and still, and it touches your cheeks softly. And somewhere a shudder settles. You breathe in the frosted air and let it go, watching it cloud and fade. The world feels small and safe tonight, wrapped in snow, asking nothing of you but to wander gently home. The cottage hearth has been newly lit, and a small fire crackles softly among the kindling, sending a thin, sweet wood smoke up the chimney. You kneel before it, feeding it gently with a few dry sticks, watching the little flames take hold and dance. The room around you is still dim, the corners full of soft grey shadow. A cat slips in from the cold and settles close to the growing warmth. The fire's small heat reaches your face, and the quiet snap and pop of the wood is the only sound. There is no hurry to do anything more. You sit back on your heels and watch the gentle fire grow, feeling its warmth and the deep morning quiet ease softly through you. On the dresser, a string of glass beads lies coiled like a small sleeping snake, dull and dim in the low light. You lift them and let them pour from one hand to the other, feeling their cool, smooth weight, hearing the faint, soft clicking as they slide. Each bead is a slightly different shade of grain, cloudy and worn, no longer quite catching the light as it once did. The clasp is a tiny tarnished hook, soft-edged from age. There is no occasion tonight, nothing to dress for. The beads simply pool in your palm, quiet and cool, and you let them spill back onto the dresser in a soft, glassy heap, where they settle slowly into stillness as the room goes dark. The orchard behind the farmhouse lies still beneath the moon, row upon row of old apple trees with their gnarled trunks and heavy crowns. You walk slowly down the grassy aisle between them, and the moonlight falls in dappled patches through the leaves, shifting only when a faint breeze stirs the branches. Windfall apples lie scattered in the cool grass, their round shapes faintly gleaming, and their cidery sweetness fills the night air. A ladder leans forgotten against one trunk, left for the morning's picking. Somewhere a small bird shifts upon its branch and goes quiet again. The orchard has tended its fruit through the long summer, and now it simply rests, and you rest with it, breathing the sweet cool air, your steps growing slower with each gentle pace. Along the hedgerows that fringe the sleeping fields, the rain falls gently on every leaf and bramble, beading the spider silk and bowing the tall wet grass. You walk the soft track between them with a shawl drawn close, in no hurry at all. The earth beneath your feet has turned to a quiet give, and the smell of it rises sweet and dark around you. Beyond the hedges, the meadows lie pale and still under the cloud, drinking the rain in long, patient draughts. A single cottage light shows far off across the valley. Everything is hushed and dim and cool. You feel the rain on the back of your hand, light as breath, and the whole night seems to slow with you, gentle and kind and unending. Behind the cottages, kitchen gardens lie heavy with the last of the season's growth, glowing in the low amber light. You walk the narrow earthen path between the beds, brushing your fingers over the rounded shoulders of ripe pumpkins and the dusty blue-green of cabbage leaves. Bean poles lean together overhead, their vines drying and rustling faintly. The smell of warm soil and crushed mint rises around you, soft and green and sweet. A robin watches from the top of a leaning fork, unhurried and calm. Late sunflowers nod their heavy golden heads toward the sinking sun. Everything here is ripe and quiet and content, gathered in for the coming cold, and the garden seems to drowse in its own abundance as the gentle evening light begins to fade. The herb garden lies fragrant and dewy in the soft grey light. You walk its narrow gravel paths as the dawn arrives, and at every step the wet leaves release their scent into the cool air, rosemary, thyme, sweet marjoram, all mingling gently around you. The lavender bushes hold their colour faintly in the dimness, beaded silver with dew. A bee, too cold yet to fly, clings sleepily to a sage flower. The little sundial at the centre stands dark and still, its hour not yet reached. You pause among the fragrant beds, breathing slow and deep, letting the green sweetness fill you, and feel the quiet morning settle around you like the gentlest of blankets. A clay pitcher stands on the washstand, its glaze crazed into a fine net of tiny lines, like frost on a window. You lay your hand against its rounded belly and feel it cool and smooth, faintly damp from the water it holds. A chip on the spout has worn soft over the years, no longer sharp at all. The handle fits your fingers as if it had been shaped for them, curving easily into the palm. Beside it, a folded towel waits, soft and thick, smelling faintly of soap and lavender. Nothing splashes, nothing pours. The pitcher only sits in the dim, holding its still water, while the last grey light slides slowly down the wall and the small room grows quieter and quieter still. The old stone church sits at the top of the village, and its squat tower stands black against a sky brushed pale with moonlight. You walk slowly up the churchyard path between the leaning headstones, their faces soft and worn, the carved names long faded into gentle grey. The grass here is cool and damp beneath your feet, and a great yew tree spreads its dark branches overhead, ancient and patient. Moonlight slips through the leaves in scattered pools. The church windows are dark, but the lead between the glass catches faint silver lines. There is nothing fearful here, only the deep quiet of a place that has held the village's prayers for 1,000 years. You breathe the cool air, and you feel wonderfully small and wonderfully at peace. Behind the cottages, the kitchen gardens run down in long neat strips to the brook, and tonight the moon shines clear upon the rows of beans and cabbages and the bright pale faces of the night-closed marigolds. You walk the soft earth path between the beds, and everything stands silvered and still. A scarecrow leans at the far end of one plot, its straw arms outstretched, its old hat soft and grey, harmless and almost friendly in the moonlight. A wheelbarrow rests beside the water butt, which brims full and dark, holding a small bright moon upon its surface. The air smells of cool soil and green leaves, and the faint sweetness of ripening fruit. A cat slips silently along a low wall and is gone. You breathe the rich quiet of the garden and feel the slow contentment of all growing things at rest. In the village at dusk, you let your ears settle on the slow creak of a wooden gate swinging on its iron hinge, back and forth, in no hurry at all. A breeze threads through the lane and the gate answers, with the same soft groan it has made for 100 quiet evenings. Somewhere a latch taps lightly against its frame, then stills. The sound is round and low, neither asking anything of you nor going anywhere. You breathe in time with it, in as it opens, out as it drifts back, and the gentle rhythm loosens something in your shoulders, until the lane and the gate and your slow breath all seem to be resting together. The afternoon settles slowly over the village lane, and you let yourself drift along it without any hurry at all. Honey-colored light lanes across the cobblestones, pooling in the worn dips where countless footsteps have passed. A low stone wall holds the warmth of the day, soft beneath your palm as you trail your fingers along its mossy top. Somewhere a hen murmurs to herself in a dusty yard, and the sound is round and content. The air smells of warm earth and drying hay. You breathe it in, slow and easy, feeling your shoulders loosen with each step. The light is gentle, the lane is quiet, and there is nowhere you need to be but exactly here, walking softly into the gold. You lie on your back in the soft hay of the open cart, parked for the night beside the barn, and look straight up into the heavens. The wooden boards are smooth beneath the loose straw, and the hay smells warm and sweet all around you. Above, the sky is so full of stars that the dark between them seems almost crowded out, a vast soft glittering that goes on and on. You let your eyes wander without searching for anything, drifting from one faint point to the next. The village around you is silent, the cottages dark shapes at the edge of sight. A cool breath of air moves over you now and then. Your body grows heavy in content, and the great peaceful sky seems to lower itself gently, like a quilt, over the resting little world. In the dim warmth of the cowshed, you sit on a low stool in the sweet straw smell, the cattle settled and quiet in their stalls for the night. A single lantern hangs from a beam, casting a soft amber light over the broad patient backs of the beasts. The day's milking is done, the pails carried in, the byre swept clean. You like to linger here in the evening, in the deep animal warmth and the gentle sounds of contented chewing. You remember countless evenings just like this one, the same warm dark, the same quiet company. The memory is a comfortable one. The lantern flame sways gently. Outside, the village has gone to sleep. You rest your elbows on your knees and let the peaceful warmth of the cowshed wrap around you, slow and kind. From the little church on the hill, a single bell begins to ring, slow and clear across the valley. It marks the evening hour, as it has for hundreds of years, calling the day gently to its close. The sound drifts out over the rooftops and the fields, and fades slowly into the dusk. And one by one, the lamps are lit in the cottage windows, small and warm against the gathering dark. In the cool, dim stable, you sit on a low stool among the sweet smell of hay, the old mare resting quietly in her stall. The day's work is done, the harness hung on its peg, the lantern turned low so it casts a soft amber pool on the straw. You listen to the slow, contented sound of the horse shifting her weight, the soft pull of hay from the manger. There is nowhere you would rather be at this hour. You remember countless evenings like this one, the warm animal breath, the quiet companionship that needs no words. The lantern flame wavers gently. Outside the village has gone to sleep, and inside the stable the warm darkness wraps around you, and your thoughts grow soft and slow and kind. Imagine standing at the village crossroads beneath an old signpost, where the deep stillness of the night has stopped all motion. A faint breeze comes from across the open fields, cool and clean, stirring the long grass in the verges so it lanes and then straightens slowly. The 4 lanes run off into soft darkness, each one quiet, each one going nowhere in a hurry. A single moth circles the weathered post, then drifts away into the dusk. Above, the sky is wide and deep, and scattered with faint stars. There is no need to choose a direction, no need to move at all. You simply stand at the still center of the crossroads, letting the gentle wind pass through, breathing in the patient calm of the night. By the dying glow of a small fire in the cottage yard, you sit on a low wooden stool and watch the last sparks rise and wink out among the stars. The flames have settled to soft embers now, breathing orange in the dark, and the warmth wraps gently around your knees. Above, the sky is clear and thick with stars, so many that the longer you look the more appear, soft layer upon soft layer. The village is silent around you, the smell of wood smoke mingling with the cool night air. You feed no more wood to the fire, you only sit and watch it fade, and watch the patient stars hold steady above. A deep contentment settles over you, slow and warm, and your eyelids begin to droop in the gentle, glowing dark. Out in the hay meadow, the spring grass stands tall and full of flowers, and you walk a narrow path through it in the soft evening light, the seed heads brushing cool against your hands. Buttercups and clover and ragged moon daisies sway in the gentlest of airs, and the whole meadow breathes out a green and honeyed sweetness. A barn owl floats pale and silent along the hedge at the meadow's edge, hunting without hurry. The sky deepens from gold to dusky rose above the distant trees. Somewhere a corncrake rasps its quiet note among the grass. There is no fence to cross, no task to finish, only the wide, soft meadow and the slow descent of the spring dusk, and you let it carry you gently towards stillness. Within the cobbler's small dim shop, the rain ticks softly on the window while the day's work rests upon the bench. You imagine the rows of mended shoes set neat upon their shelf, the awls and waxed thread laid aside, the leather scraps swept into the corner. A low lamp glows warm against the gathering dark, and the air smells of leather and beeswax and the damp of the night. Outside, the rain falls steady on the lane and drips from the eave past the little pane in a slow, bright thread. The street is empty and shining. There is nothing to stitch tonight, nothing to hurry for. You breathe the quiet, leathery air and listen to the gentle fall, and a comfortable drowsiness comes stealing softly over you. At the edge of the village, a wheelwright's yard stands quiet, the day's labor set aside. You linger by the open doorway and look in at the cartwheels leaning against the walls, their spokes throwing long soft shadows in the amber light. Curls of pale wood shaving lie scattered across the swept floor, and the warm smell of sawn timber and linseed hangs gently in the air. The tools rest in their racks, their work finished. Through the small window the last sunlight pours, gilding the dust that drifts so slowly it seems hardly to move at all. A swallow loops once beneath the eaves and is gone. The yard holds its quiet completely now, warm and still and full of the honest peace of a day's work done. The frozen marsh beyond the village stretches pale and still under the clouded dusk, its reeds standing stiff and silvered in the deep cold. You walk along the raised path at its edge, your breath clouding, and watch the ice gleam faintly between the frosted rushes. A heron stands motionless far out in the shallows, grey and patient, waiting in the cold. The air is clean and sharp, and smells faintly of frost and old water. No wind stirs the reeds, everything waits in the great winter quiet. The last grey light fades slowly from the ice. You linger on the path, taking in the wide still marsh and the patient bird, and feel the gentle solitude of the place settle softly over you as the dusk deepens into night. In the cool of the dairy at the back of the farmhouse, the spring evening lingers blue and quiet, and you stand in the doorway breathing the clean smell of milk and scrubbed slate. Wide shallow pans sit in their orderly rows along the cold stone shelves, the cream rising slow and pale upon them. A single small window lets in the last grey light. Everything here is calm and ordered and faintly cool, the flagstones swept, the churn standing ready in its corner. Outside, the cattle have settled in the byre, and you can hear the soft shift and breath of them through the wall. There is a plain and restful peace in this quiet working room at evening, where the day's labor is finished and the gentle dark gathers among the cold stone. The dawn comes pale to the cottage window, slipping between the half-drawn curtains. You lie warm beneath heavy quilts and watch the grey light strengthen slowly on the whitewashed wall, where it picks out the faint pattern of the old hung sampler. The room is cool and still, and smells faintly of beeswax and lavender. Outside, a single bird begins a soft and tentative song, then another joins it, low and unhurried. The thatch above murmurs as a sparrow shuffles in its nest. You have nowhere to go and nothing to do, but watch the light grow gentle in the quiet room, drawing the quilts a little closer, feeling the deep luxurious peace of a morning that asks nothing of you at all. A cracked teapot sits on the back of the stove, its spout chipped, its lid mended with a dab of pale glue. You lay your palm against its rounded side and find it cool now, the tea long since drunk. The glaze is a soft brown, crazed with fine lines, and a faded sprig of painted flowers winds around its belly. The handle is worn smooth, where countless hands have lifted it. A faint, comforting smell of old tea lingers in its dark interior. There is nothing to brew tonight, no cups to fill. The teapot only sits in its accustomed place, holding its quiet emptiness, while the stove cools and the kitchen sinks slowly into its deep, restful evening stillness. The water mill stands quiet at the river's bend, its great wheel stilled now and dripping slowly in the spring dusk, each drop falling with a soft and steady plink into the dark pool below. You sit on the warm stone of the millrace wall and watch the river slide smooth and brown toward the wheel, carrying a single drifting leaf. Swifts dart low over the water, screaming faintly, then climbing high and silent into the paling sky. The air smells of cool water and old wet timber. Ferns uncurl from the damp stones at your feet. There is a deep, restful patience in the stilled mill at evening, its long day's grinding done, and the slow drip of the wheel marks the quiet minutes as the dark draws gently in. Through the small window of the loft you watch the night, your chin resting on your folded arms. Outside, the barnyard is quiet, the cart standing motionless in the starlit dark, and beyond the low fence the fields run out toward the hills. The whole sky is open above the village, brushed thick with stars that seem to draw nearer the longer you gaze. A faint sweetness of straw rises around you in the loft, soft and familiar. Somewhere far off, a single owl gives one low, gentle call, and then is silent. You feel pleasantly drowsy, your eyes growing heavy as you trace the soft patterns overhead. The night is wide and tranquil, and you let it hold you, content to simply watch the slow, silent shining of the stars. The village pump has frozen at its spout, hung with a single long clear icicle, and the trough beneath it wears a smooth pane of ice. You pass it slowly in the snowy dark, your lantern throwing a small warm glow that catches in the icicle and makes it shine. The cobbles around are hidden under soft white, and the shuttered houses lean close and quiet. The deep cold has emptied the lane entirely. A thin ribbon of smoke rises from a nearby chimney, faint against the dark sky. You linger a moment, watching the lantern light glint in the frozen water, breathing the clean, sharp air, and feel the gentle hush of the sleeping village wrap around you, soft and still beneath the deep and patient cold. On the green at the heart of the village, the old oak spreads its branches against a sky gone deep and soft as a plum. You lie back upon the cooling grass and feel the day's warmth still held within the earth beneath you. Above, the leaves stir gently, dark fretwork against the dimming blue, and through them the first stars begin to show. The air is mild and smells of clover and dust laid by the dew. A moth drifts past, pale and silent, on its wandering way. You let your eyes grow heavy and your breath grow slow, listening to the small sounds of the settling night, and the great old tree keeps watch above you in the gathering dusk. In the rafters of the old tithe barn, where centuries of harvests have been gathered in, a flock of finches has gone to roost among the cobwebbed beams. They line the high timbers in a row of small soft shapes, feathers fluffed, heads tucked, scarcely visible in the gloom. The vast space below lies dim and cool, holding the faint sweet smell of long-stored grain. The day's busy twittering has died away. You can picture the finches swaying the smallest amount as they settle deeper into sleep, each one a tiny warmth in the great dark barn. The old roof arches over them like a sheltering sky, steady and strong, and the little birds rest beneath it, safe through the long, quiet night. Picture the village churchyard in the blue hour after sunset, where the deep stillness lies among the leaning stones and the soft mounded grass. A faint breeze drifts through the old yew tree, stirring its dark needles with a sound like the softest whisper, then falling quiet. The grass between the paths is cool and heavy with dew, and the air smells green and clean. A blackbird sends out one low, gentle note from somewhere in the hedge, then lets it fade. The sky deepens slowly from rose to violet to a calm dark blue. You walk the quiet path with unhurried steps, feeling utterly at peace among the still old stones, while the patient wind moves through the yew and the evening grows soft and kind. On a low branch above the duck pond, a kingfisher has settled, its brilliant colors gone soft and shadowed in the dusk. The fishing is finished for the day, and the little bird sits perfectly still, beak tucked, a small jewel dimmed to gray by the falling night. The water beneath is calm and dark, no longer flashing with the day's reflections. A reed bends and straightens in a breath of air. You can imagine the kingfisher's tiny feet gripping the willow, its body rounded and warm, its bright eye closing slowly. All its swift darting is set aside now, replaced by a deep and patient stillness, as the pond grows quiet and the first owl calls far off across the fields. The high lane to the next village runs along a ridge, but this morning the ridge is gone, swallowed in fog, and you walk a narrow world of grey with hedges close on either hand. The hawthorn berries glow dull red through the mist, beaded with dew, and the grass down the centre of the lane is soaked and shining. A robin keeps pace with you for a while, flitting from branch to branch, then drops back into the murk. There is no view, no distance, only the soft white close around you and the gentle drip of the leaves. The cool air is clean and tastes of rain. You walk slowly, unhurried, with nowhere you must reach, and the blank quiet of the fog smooths every thought until your mind is as soft and still as the morning. Beside the cottage door, in the tangle of honeysuckle that climbs the porch, a chaffinch has settled in for the night. Its pink breast and slate blue crown have softened to shadow in the dusk, and it sits deep among the sweet-scented leaves, feathers puffed, a small round shape barely seen. The day's cheerful song is over. The honeysuckle breathes out its fragrance into the cooling air, and the lamp within the cottage glows warm and low behind the curtain. You can picture the chaffinch nestled in the fragrant climber, eyes closed, head tucked, perfectly content. The little garden lies still and sweet beneath the first stars, and the bird rests beside the sleeping house, safe in its bower of flowers all through the quiet night. In the rafters of the village mill, where the water has finally been let to rest, a small colony of doves has settled for the night. Their soft grey shapes line the old beams, breasts gently rounded, feet curled neat upon the wood. The wheel below no longer turns, and the stream that fed it murmurs low and even, a sound like slow breathing. Dust hangs golden in the last shaft of light, and then dims to nothing. The doves make no sound at all now, their day of cooing in the eaves is done. You can picture them swaying the smallest amount as they drift, each one a quiet ember of warmth against the cool stone walls. The bakery is closed for the day now, its windows dim, but the warm smell of the morning's bread still lingers faintly in the cool spring air of the lane. You pass slowly by the leaded panes where, by daylight, the loaves are set to cool. The old wooden sign creaks the gentlest of greetings as a soft breeze stirs it. Across the way a cottage door stands ajar, and the soft yellow light of a lamp falls out across the worn step. Somewhere a kettle sings faintly and falls quiet. The evening settles itself between the houses like a soft grey cat, and the whole street seems to breathe out content as the last of the daylight slips away behind the gentle hills. From the low stone bench beneath the cottage wall, you watch the last light leave the western hills, where a faint band of rose still lingers below the deepening blue. The village lies quiet all around you, the lanes gone soft with shadow, the windows kindling one by one to amber. The cool of evening rises gently from the earth, and the air smells of cooling stone and wood smoke and the green of the fields. A single owl glides pale across the dusk and vanishes into the wood. You sit with your hands folded easy in your lap, watching the colors fade, feeling no want of anything, while the sky goes deep and tender above the rooftops, and the long calm night comes quietly on. Down by the mill pond, the water lies flat and burnished, holding the last of the orange sky upside down. You sit on the worn plank of the footbridge and let your feet hang above the still surface. The great wheel has stopped turning. Only a thin thread of water trickles over its edge, soft as whispering. Reeds stand motionless along the bank, their tips dipped in gold. A moorhen paddles a slow, silent line across the reflection, and the colors ripple and knit themselves whole again. Midges drift in lazy clouds where the light catches them. The cooling air smells of wet stone and pondweed. Everything here moves at the pace of slow water, and you find your breathing has slipped into that same unhurried rhythm. Out past the village, the lane climbs gently to a stile, and from there you can see the sun melting into a band of distant hills, spilling gold across the whole patchwork valley. You lean on the worn wooden bar of the stile and let your eyes wander over the hedged fields, the little river threading silver through the green, the church tower catching the last light. Sheep dot the far slopes like scattered pearls, slowly settling. A late bee drones past and is gone. The air is warm and still and smells of clover. As you watch, the gold deepens to amber, then to rose, then begins to grey at the edges, and you stand quietly in no hurry at all, while the day lets itself gently down to rest. The village pond holds the afternoon light in a sheet of soft copper, and you sit on the grassy bank to watch it. Ducks paddle in slow circles, leaving long ripples that widen and fade without sound. Reeds line at the water's edge, tipped with gold, swaying only when a gentle breeze passes through. A willow trails its leaves across the surface, brushing tiny patterns into the shine. You feel the cool grass beneath you and the warm air above, the two meeting somewhere around your resting hands. A single feather drifts down and settles on the water. Everything moves slowly here, in unhurried loops, and you find your breathing has slipped into the same quiet rhythm. On the shelf above the door, a small brass bell sits silent, its surface dulled to a warm, soft gold. You lift it carefully, holding the clapper still, and feel the cool, satisfying weight of it in your palm. The metal is smooth, with a faint pattern pressed around its rim, half worn away. A loop of faded red cord hangs from its top, soft and fraying. It has rung for suppers and arrivals and quiet calls across the years, but now it makes no sound at all. There is nothing to summon tonight, no one to call. You set the bell back gently, clapper resting, and it keeps its silence, holding its quiet shine, while the dim room grows still and the evening settles soft and deep. On the village green, a single old stone cross stands at the heart of the open space, its weathered shape softened now by a smooth cap of snow. You walk slowly across the white expanse toward it, your footsteps muffled, your breath rising pale into the still air. The cottages ring the green at a comfortable distance, their windows glowing faint and warm through the falling flakes. A wooden bench sits nearby, dusted in white, and you brush it clear and sit, looking up at the snow descending from the dark sky. The cold is mild and gentle. All around, the village lies hushed and at rest, and you sit beneath the soft fall, watching the flakes settle slowly over the green and the old cross, your thoughts growing as quiet as the snow-covered ground. On a hook by the door hangs a straw hat, its brim soft and frayed, the weave loosened by many summers. You touch the edge and feel the dry, papery strands give gently beneath your fingers. A faded ribbon circles the crown, its color long since gone to the palest blue, knotted in a small, tired bow. Bits of chaff still cling here and there in the braid, golden flecks caught from old fields. The hat smells of warm grass and dust and sunlit afternoons. It sways the smallest amount when the air shifts, then goes still again. There is nothing to do but let your eyes rest on its gentle shape, hanging quiet in the dimness, keeping the memory of long, slow days. Down the lane the village pump stands beneath an old elm, its iron handle worn smooth, and its stone trough brimming with still water that mirrors the golden sky. You pause beside it in the quiet evening, resting your hand on the cool metal. A few yellow elm leaves float upon the water, turning slowly. The cobbles around the pump are dark and damp, and the air smells faintly of moss and cool stone. A small bird flits down to drink at the trough's edge, ripples its reflection, and is gone. The lane stretches empty and golden in both directions, the cottages shuttered for the evening. You stand a while in the gentle hush, watching the last light shimmer on the still water of the trough, soothed by the deep and simple peace of the place. Along a narrow lane, an old wooden gate opens onto an orchard meadow, and you let yourself in to wander among the long grass. Sheep have grazed it short in places, and elsewhere the grass grows tall and golden, heavy with side. Gnarled fruit trees stand scattered about, their shadows pooling soft and long in the late sun. A few hens scratch contentedly beneath the branches, murmuring to themselves. The air is warm and still, and smells of grass and fallen fruit. You walk slowly between the old trees, trailing your hand through the seed heads, feeling the deep rural quiet all around you. The orchard meadow lies utterly at peace in the golden light, and your steps grow ever slower as you drink in its gentle calm. The forge cottage glows warm in the dusk, its small windows lit gold from within, and you stand a moment in the cooling lane just to watch. Smoke rises soft and straight from the chimney into a sky gone deep violet, pricked with the first faint stars. The smith's tools hang silent now in the dark doorway of the workshop. A dog lies content on the warm step, head on its paws, eyes half closed. Somewhere within, a chair scrapes gently, and there is the homely clink of crockery. The day's heat still rises faintly from the lane beneath your feet. The smell of wood smoke and warm bread drifts out into the evening. You breathe it slowly and feel the simple comfort of the lit cottage settle over you as the night comes gently on. You stand beside the old mill pond where the water lies perfectly flat in the deep stillness of evening. The great wheel has long since stopped turning, and the only motion is a faint breeze that crosses the surface and sets the smallest ripples spreading slowly outward before they fade. Reeds line the bank, swaying once, then holding still. The air smells of cool water and damp earth, and a few midges dance over the dark glass without a sound. A heron stands motionless at the far edge, a soft grey shape in the dusk, patient as stone. You watch the ripples come and go on the quiet water, and the slow rhythm of them eases something inside you until you feel as still and unhurried as the pond. The thatched roof of the old farmhouse at the village edge wears a deep, soft load of snow, and smoke rises lazily from its squat stone chimney into the still night air. You stand at the garden gate and look up at the warm yellow glow in the lower windows, where the family rests behind drawn curtains. The garden lies quiet, its beds and bushes rounded into gentle white shapes, a wooden rake left leaning by the door. The snow falls slow and straight, gathering on the gatepost beneath your hand. A dog gives one soft, sleepy sound from somewhere within, and then is quiet. You linger at the gate in the mild cold, watching the snow settle over the farmhouse and its garden, feeling the deep, simple peace of the place. At the village green's far corner stands the old smithy's water trough, hewn from a single block of stone, and tonight it holds the moon upon its still dark surface. You sit upon its broad cool rim and look down at the reflected sky, the round pale disk trembling only when a leaf drifts down to touch the water. A bucket hangs from a peg on the post above. The cobbles around the trough are worn into smooth hollows by generations of waiting hooves and turning wheels. Moonlight lies across the empty green beyond, and the dark shapes of the houses ring it round, all asleep. The night is warm and still, and smells faintly of stone and water. You trail your fingers in the cool trough and watch the moon's reflections scatter and slowly mend, and a deep ease comes over you. Imagine you are walking through a field of barley at the edge of the village in the last soft light, where the deep stillness lies over the swaying heads of grain. A faint breeze moves across the field, warm and dry, and the whole expanse of barley lanes and whispers together, then settles, then lanes again like a slow tide. The smell of ripe grain and warm earth rises gently around you. A skylark that sang all day has gone quiet now, nestled somewhere low in the field. The path is soft and dusty beneath your feet. You walk slowly, trailing your fingers through the bearded heads, and the soft whispering of the barley and the warm, gentle wind carry your thoughts away into a wide and peaceful calm. The narrow footpath behind the cottages is yours alone tonight, soft with moss and old fallen leaves. You walk slowly, hands loose at your sides, and the village lies sleeping on either hand. Low stone walls hold the day's last warmth, and you trail your fingers along their rough tops as you pass. Above, the first stars open one by one, shy and unhurried. You remember walking this same path as a child, smaller then, the walls seeming taller. The memory rises gently and settles again, asking nothing of you. A faint scent of honeysuckle drifts from a darkened garden. Your footsteps make almost no sound on the yielding earth, and your mind grows wide and quiet as the deepening field beyond. Down by the millpond, the water lies smooth as poured glass, holding a perfect upside-down image of the golden sky and the old timber mill. The great wheel has stopped its turning for the day, and a thin sheet of water slips over it now and then with a soft, low murmur. Reeds stand motionless along the bank, their feathered tops lit copper by the low sun. A moorhen glides out from the shadows, leaving a single widening ripple that slowly smooths itself away. You sit on the warm wooden boards of the little jetty and let your gaze rest on the still water. The light reddens and softens, the mill grows quiet and shadowed, and the whole pond seems to be settling gently into its evening calm. On a low rise just outside the village, you find an old weathered stone, smooth and broad, and you sit upon it to watch the night come fully down. The last faint glow has long left the western sky, and now the stars hold it all, scattered thick and soft from edge to edge above the quiet valley. Below the little village is a dark hush of rooftops, not a single lamp burning. The cool night air moves gently past you, carrying the smell of grass and cooling earth. You rest your hands in your lap and gaze upward, your breathing slow and deep, your mind growing still and clear. There is a vast, gentle calm in the great shining sky above the small sleeping village, and you let it settle through you completely, content simply to sit and be beneath the patient stars. The herb garden behind the cottage breathes out its scents in the falling rain, the rosemary and thyme and lavender all the sweeter for the wet. You stand at the back door beneath the dripping eave, watching the soft fall settle over the neat dark beds. Rain beads on the silvered leaves and runs in tiny rivulets between the rows. The little stone path gleams faintly in the last grey light. A snail moves slow and untroubled along the wall. The cool air is thick with the green and resinous smell the rain has drawn up, and it fills you with a quiet ease. You breathe it deep again and again, listening to the gentle patter on the leaves, and the fragrant calm of the garden draws you softly toward your bed. Out among the standing wheat that surrounds the village, a quail has nestled down into the stalks for the night. It is a shy and hidden bird, and now it sits low in a little hollow it has pressed into the earth, feathers blending perfectly with the pale gold of the grain. The wheat stands tall and motionless, each ear heavy and still in the windless dark. The day's soft calling has ceased. You can imagine the quail tucked deep among the stems, its small body warm against the soil, its eyes gently closing. The field stretches wide and silver under the rising moon, whispering nothing now, and the little bird rests within it, safe and unseen, until the slow return of morning. In the deepening spring dusk, the whole village seems to draw its breath and settle, and you stand at the top of the lane and look down over it all one last time before the dark comes fully in. Lamps glow amber in window after window, small and warm against the blue. Thin threads of wood smoke rise straight from the chimneys into the still and cooling air. A last blackbird sings somewhere among the gardens, then gives way to the soft hush of the coming night. The May blossom glows palely along the hedges. The river murmurs faintly far below. There is a complete and gentle peace over the sleeping village now, the long spring day folded quietly away, and you breathe it in slowly, deeply, and feel the whole quiet world easing softly toward rest. The carter's horse stands drowsy in its paddock at the edge of the village, head hung low over the worn rail, ears soft and still in the spring dusk. You lean on the gate and watch it a while, the great gentle creature shifting its weight by slow degrees, its breath warm and grassy on the cooling air. The day's work is done, the cart unhitched and resting in the shed. Around the paddock the hawthorn is white with bloom, and a few late swallows skim the long grass. The light fades softly behind the distant hills. There is a deep, patient calm in the resting horse at evening, in the slow blink of its dark eye and the easy droop of its head, and watching it seems to slow your own breathing to a quiet and untroubled pace. Within the warm parlor, an oil lamp casts its soft yellow glow across the worn rug and the shelves of well-loved books, and you settle into the deep chair by the window as the snow falls outside. The flakes drift down past the glass, lit faintly by the lamp and the pale gleam of the drifts below. The room smells of lamp oil and old paper and the lingering warmth of the day's fire. A clock ticks softly somewhere down the hall. You hold a book in your lap, but find your eyes drawn again and again to the window, to the slow, gentle descent of the snow over the quiet village. The night is deep and still, and you sink into the warmth of the chair, content to watch the white come down. You walk the high field path as the sun goes down behind the distant hills, the whole valley below you turning gold then grey. The grass brushes cool against your hands, and the only sound is the soft sigh of the evening wind moving through the barley. Far below, the village is settling into its hollow, the first lights pricking out among the trees. You stop and stand a while, breathing the clean open air, in no hurry to go down. You think of how this same view has greeted you through all the seasons of your life, and a quiet gladness fills you. A skylark drops its last notes into the dusk. The light fades softly from the hills, and you stand at peace beneath the wide and darkening sky. In a small upstairs room, a child sleeps beneath a heavy quilt, and the whole house keeps its breath low around them. A candle burned down hours ago, its last thread of smoke long since faded. The window holds a square of deep blue night, dusted with a few faint stars. The quilt rises and falls with slow, even breathing, and a worn cloth toy rests in the crook of one small arm. The room is cool, but the bed is a warm and gathered nest. Outside, the village sleeps too, dark and quiet beneath the same patient sky. There is nothing in this hour but rest, soft and complete. You can almost feel the slow tide of the child's breathing pull at your own, drawing you down into the same deep and dreamless calm. By the fire in the small sitting room, you wrap your hands around a warm stone taken from the hearth and feel its heat seep slowly through the cloth. The deep cold presses at the window, ferned thick with frost, but the fire glows steady and the room is dim and snug. A heavy curtain is drawn against the draught. The clock on the shelf ticks soft and slow, and now and then a coal settles with a quiet sigh. Outside, the snow falls without a sound onto the sleeping lane. You hold the warm stone close, watching the firelight move gently on the walls, and feel the deep winter night recede, your body easing into the warmth, your eyes growing heavy in the soft and quiet dark. Out in the open field where the lapwings nest among the furrows, the birds have settled low for the night across the dark earth. By day they tumble and call over the plough, crested heads gleaming, but now they crouch in scattered hollows, wings folded, feathers dark against the soil. The field lies wide and still, the furrows running pale toward the dim horizon. The wheeling cries have faded into silence. You can imagine the lapwings pressed close to the warm ground, eyes closed, breathing slow, each one a small still shape in the great quiet field. The stars come out one by one above the open land, and the birds rest upon the earth they know so well, safe and calm until the dawn. In the herb garden beside the cottage door the spring evening draws out the deep green scents of rosemary and thyme and sage, and you brush your hand along their leaves as you pass, releasing their fragrance into the cool, still air. The garden is small and old and tangled, its low box hedges grown soft and shaggy with years. A stone sundial stands at its center, its shadow long gone now in the dusk. Bees that worked the lavender all day have gone, and the garden is quiet. The first dew settles, beading silver on the leaves. Above, the sky deepens to a soft and dusky blue. There is a fragrant, healing peace in this old herb garden at evening, and to stand among its quiet greenery is to feel the whole long day gently let go of you. At the edge of the woods just beyond the village, the bare trees stand close and dark, their branches catching the falling snow in soft white nets. You stand where the lane meets the trees and look into the quiet wood, where the flakes drift down between the trunks and settle on the leaf-covered ground. The cold is mild, the air still and clean, scented faintly with pine and damp earth. Somewhere deep among the trees, a small bird shifts on its branch and grows still again. The snow gathers on the fallen logs and the low ferns, softening every shape. You linger at the woodland's edge, comforted by its deep peace, watching the white come down among the trees, then turn back toward the warm small lights of the village behind you. In the great barn where the threshing was done, a flock of yellowhammers has come to roost among the high-stored sheaves. They nestle into the warm straw in a scatter of small bright shapes, feathers loosened, heads tucked, their soft color dimmed in the gloom. The vast barn lies cool and dim around them, fragrant with grain and dust. The day's simple repeated song has long fallen silent. You can imagine the yellowhammers burrowed snug into the sheaves, breathing slow, their small bodies warm against the straw. The old beams arch high above like a sheltering roof of night, and the little birds rest beneath them, safe and drowsy, gathered in the heart of the harvest until the morning comes. You walk a green lane where high banks rise on either side, thick with ferns and grasses gilded by the late sun. The light comes slanting over the top of the bank, warming the path and catching the seed heads in a soft amber glow. The lane is sunken and old, worn deep by centuries of quiet passage, and it feels sheltered and still. Foxgloves lean from the bank, their bells nodding gently. A wren ticks softly somewhere in the hedge above. You move along the cool, shaded floor of the lane, looking up now and then at the bright golden rim of the bank against the sky. There is a deep, comfortable hush here, an old and patient quiet, and you feel it slowly fold around you. You rest in a hayloft above the old barn, where the afternoon sun slants in through a high open hatch. Loose straw lies soft and deep beneath you, warm and dry and smelling sweetly of summer fields. Dust drifts golden in the long beam of light, turning slowly in the still warm air. From below comes the gentle sound of an animal shifting in its stall, calm and contented. Outside, beyond the hatch, the fields glow amber under the lowering sun. You lie back into the soft straw, feeling its warmth all along your body, and watch a single sunbeam crawl slowly across the rough wooden rafters. The barn is quiet and safe and warm, and your eyelids grow heavy in the drowsy golden hush. Along the top of the dry stone wall, the moss has gone the color of shadow, and you trail your fingers over its cool and yielding surface as you walk. The blue hour lies soft across the fields beyond, where the sheep have settled into pale and drowsy shapes upon the dim grass. The air is mild and smells of stone and grass and the faint sweetness of gorse. A late bee, lost and slow, bumbles past and away into the dusk. Far off, a single dog gives one soft bark and falls silent. As you walk the wall's long line without hurry, the village lights behind you growing small, and the wide, quiet evening opens out around you, gentle and unending. The narrow stairway of the cottage creaks softly as the old house settles into the deepest part of the night, easing its timbers one by one. You pause halfway up, candle long since left below, and let your eyes adjust to the dark. A small window on the landing holds a square of starlit sky, and through it the cool night air drifts gently down the stairs. The worn wood of the banister is smooth and familiar beneath your hand. Above, the bedroom waits, its bed turned down and cool, its window open to the quiet night. The whole house is hushed and dim and entirely at rest. You climb the last few steps slowly, each one soft beneath your feet, moving without hurry toward the deep and welcoming comfort of your own waiting bed. You follow a cart track between golden fields, the dry ruts soft with dust beneath your feet. On either side, the ripe grain lines and shifts in a breeze you can barely feel, a sea of warm amber whispering quietly to itself. A weathered wooden cart rests at the field's edge, its wheels half hidden in tall grass and poppies. The sun is rich and low, casting your shadow long and gentle on the track ahead. Somewhere a wood pigeon calls its soft, repeating note. You walk slowly, letting the warm air and the dry, sweet smell of the grain fill your senses. There is no destination, only the long golden track and the gentle hush of the fields, and you feel wonderfully, peacefully unhurried. In the cellar beneath the cottage, the dark is deep and cool and utterly still, lined with shelves of stored things resting through the winter of the night. Rows of jars catch no light, only a faint dim shape, holding preserves and pickles and the last of the autumn's bounty. Sacks of root vegetables lain in their corners, and a barrel waits patiently against the wall. The air is earthy and cool, and smells of stone and stored apples. No sound reaches here from the world above, only a great soft silence. Everything is gathered and safe and at rest, tucked away against future need. You stand at the foot of the worn steps in the gentle dark, and the deep, patient calm of the place settles around you like a cool and steadying hand. The old village forge yard lies quiet in the spring evening, the great doors drawn half closed, and you pause at the gate where the cooling cinders still breathe a faint warmth into the dusk. A cart wheel leans against the wall, its iron rim newly fitted and gleaming dully in the last light. The good, honest smell of charcoal and warm metal lingers in the still air. Above the roof, a thin grey ribbon of smoke uncoils slowly and is lost in the paling sky. Sparrows that nest in the eaves have quieted now, tucked away. The day's ringing work is finished, and the yard is hushed. There is a settled, satisfied peace about the quiet forge at evening, the calm that follows honest labor, and you breathe the warm, dim air of it and feel your own thoughts slow and ease. The village street lies long and empty in the warm summer dusk, its cottages leaning close on either side. You walk down the middle of it where no cart will come at this hour, the worn stones warm beneath your feet. Lamps are being lit behind small windows, one by one, casting soft golden squares onto the dim road. The smell of many suppers, of wood smoke and stew and bread, hangs gently in the still air. A cat crosses ahead and disappears down an alley. From somewhere comes the faint sound of someone humming as they work. You walk slowly through the warm and lamplit quiet, the whole street settling toward sleep around you, and feel wonderfully unhurried and at peace. From the warmth of the kitchen, you watch through the steamed window as the snow falls over the small back garden, settling on the bare fruit trees and the low stone wall. A wreath of dried herbs hangs by the door, and the last of the day's warmth lingers about the cooling stove. You wipe a clear patch on the misted glass and lean close, watching the flakes drift down in the soft glow of the lamp that hangs above the door. The garden lies still and white, the clothesline empty, the wooden bench beneath the window rounded with snow. The night is windless and deep. You stand at the window with a warm cup in your hands, content to watch the gentle fall, the kitchen close and warm around you, the snowy garden quiet beyond. Wrapped in a soft shawl, you sit on the cottage step with a cooling cup of milk warming your hands. The day's work is done, the fire banked low inside, and out here the village has fallen into its gentle nighttime hush. Above the dark thatch, the stars have come out in their thousands, a wide quiet glittering across the whole arch of the sky. You sip slowly and let your gaze drift upward, picking out the brighter ones, then losing them again among the soft dusting of the rest. A faint breeze stirs the climbing rose by the door, its scent rising sweet around you. Your eyelids grow heavy and your breathing settles deep. Beneath that calm and endless sky, you feel wonderfully at ease, in no hurry at all to move. The rain begins so softly you barely notice it at first, just a hush against the thatched roof above your bed. You lie there in the warm dark, listening as each drop finds the straw and settles. The cottage smells of wood smoke and dried herbs hung from the beams. Somewhere below, the last embers shift in the hearth, glowing low and orange. The rain steadies into a gentle, even patter, the kind that asks nothing of you. You feel the weight of the quilt, the give of the wool mattress, the slow ease of your own breathing. Outside, the whole village rests beneath the same quiet rain, and you let your eyes drift closed, carried along by its soft, unbroken rhythm. At the edge of the pond, the water lies flat and pewter-colored, beneath a low ceiling of morning mist. Reeds stand motionless along the bank, their tips beaded with dew. You crouch on the soft mud and watch a pair of ducks glide out from the shadows, leaving two long, slow ripples that fade into stillness. The air is cool and smells of water and green growth. A faint bird call drifts from the willows, then quiet returns. The sun has not yet cleared the hills, so everything wears a soft, dim, silvery light. You stay there a while, knees drawn up, breathing slowly, watching the gentle spread of the ripples, feeling the unhurried calm of the pond seep gently into your tired, settling mind. The old stone bridge at the village entrance arches over the frozen brook, its parapet rounded smooth with snow, and you pause at its center on your slow evening walk. Below, the brook lies still and pale beneath a thin lid of ice, the snow settling along its banks. On the far side, the first cottages of the village glow faintly through the falling flakes, their windows warm and small. The cold is gentle, the night windless and deep. You rest your hands on the snowy parapet and watch the flakes drift down over the brook and the bridge and the quiet lane beyond. There is no hurry in any of it, only the slow, even falling of the snow, and you stand a while in the calm before crossing softly into the sleeping village. Lying back in the long grass of the riverside meadow, your hands folded behind your head, you let the whole sky fill your sight. The grass is cool and soft beneath you, faintly damp with the first of the dew, and its green scent rises gently around you. Above, the stars stretch from edge to edge, more than the eye can hold, a soft and endless glittering across the deep dark. Nearby, the river murmurs low among its reeds, a slow and soothing voice in the night. The village is a dark hush somewhere beyond the trees. You watch the stars without thought, your breathing slowing to the river's rhythm, your body growing wonderfully heavy and at ease. The night asks nothing of you. You simply lie there, held between the cool grass and the shining sky, and let yourself drift. You sit beneath an old pear tree in a cottage garden, its branches heavy with fruit in the late afternoon. The sun slants low through the leaves, scattering soft golden light across the lawn where you rest in a worn wooden chair. A wasp hums lazily among the windfalls in the grass, and the air is sweet and warm with the smell of ripening pears. A blackbird sings a few easy notes from the hedge and falls quiet. The shadows of the garden stretch long and soft. You let your hands rest in your lap and tip your head back against the chair, watching the light glow through the green leaves above you, and feel yourself sinking gently into the drowsy warmth of the quiet garden. The cottage row faces a long green common, and tonight the grass is silvered all the way to the dark line of the woods beyond. You walk slowly along the edge of the green, past the front gardens with their low picket fences and sleeping flowers. A wooden seesaw and a single rope swing hang motionless near the village pump, left by children long since called in to bed. The pump itself glows pale, a drop of water trembling on its iron spout. Moonlight lies smooth, and even across the open grass, broken only by the long shadows of the elms at the common's edge. The night is mild and very still. A single late firefly drifts low over the grass, blinking softly, then is gone. You breathe the cool green air and feel the whole common at peace. From the highest field on the hillside, you look down at the whole valley spread beneath the stars, the village a small dark gathering of rooftops far below. The grass here is cropped short and soft, cool with the gathering dew, and you sit upon it easily, your arms loose around your knees. Above and all around, the sky is crowded with stars, a vast soft dome of them, so clear that the faint dusty band of light across the middle shows plainly. No sound rises from the sleeping village, the night is utterly still. The cool air smells of grass and distance. You sit and watch, your thoughts slowing to nothing in particular, your breathing deep and calm. There is a great gentle peace in looking down at the quiet world and up at the shining sky, and you rest in it fully. Down the green lane between the high-banked hedges you walk in the soft spring dusk, and the hedgerows are alive with the gentle business of evening. Wild violets and primroses tuck themselves into the mossy banks, and the May blossom hangs in pale clouds above. A robin keeps pace with you for a while, flitting from twig to twig, its small movements unhurried. The air is cool and damp, and full of green growing smells. Somewhere beyond the fields, a church bell rings the hour, slow and far away, the sound carrying soft across the land. The light fades by quiet degrees between the hedges. You walk on slowly, in no hurry to arrive, letting the peaceful old lane and the gentle dark draw you onward into the evening. Beneath the lopsided eaves of the cottage porch you have hung an old hammock, and you lie in it now, swaying gently, gazing up through the gap between the porch roof and the climbing vine. The night air drifts cool and sweet, and the hammock cradles you softly, rocking with the slightest shift of your weight. Above, the stars glitter thick and serene in the dark, framed by the dark leaves and the worn line of the eaves. The village beyond the garden is silent, every window dim. A faint scent of jasmine rises from the vine around you. Your body grows heavy and at ease with the gentle swaying, your eyelids drooping. You watch the soft stars blur and steady, and let the slow rocking and the quiet shining carry you gently towards sleep. Beneath the heavy eaves of the cottage, sparrows have tucked themselves into the thatch against the cold, small and round and silent. You stand below in the snow and look up at the steep roof, white and smooth and softly luminous in the night. The frost has stiffened the straw into a pale crust, and icicles fringe the edge in a delicate row. Nothing stirs but the faint shuffle of a bird settling deeper into its warm nook. The deep cold holds the whole house in its quiet grip, yet inside the thatch there is shelter, and inside the walls there is firelight, and everywhere the snow lies gentle. You breathe slowly, watching your breath rise, glad of the small warm lives sleeping safe above you. Along the riverbank, the water moves slow and dark beneath a soft ceiling of mist. You walk the grassy edge where willows trail their long branches toward the current. The first light has not yet touched the surface, but the sky above is paling, and the water mirrors it in muted silver. A moorhen glides out from the reeds, leaving a thin trailing ripple, then drifts back into shelter. The reeds themselves stand perfectly still in the windless air. Somewhere across the meadow a cow lows once, low and contented, and then the quiet returns. You breathe the cool river air, watching the mist begin to lift in slow, drifting wisps, and feel yourself growing wonderfully calm. Out across the wet hillside, the sheep have gathered in the lay of a dristone wall, woolly and patient under the soft falling rain. You watch them from the shelter of the shepherd's hut, where a small fire glows and a kettle steams. The rain comes down steady and fine over the slope, silvering the grass, gathering in the hollows, running in clear thin rills toward the valley. The flock stands quiet, unhurried, their breath rising faintly in the cool air. There is nothing to drive them anywhere tonight. You sip something warm and watch the gentle weather move across the hill, and the great calm of it, the sheep and the wall and the endless soft rain, settles deep into you and slows your weary mind. Out among the sheep on the dim hillside, the small bells at their throats give off a soft, scattered ringing as the flock grazes its slow way through the dusk. The notes are gentle and uneven, a near one chiming, a far one answering, then a long quiet as the sheep stand still to crop the grass. You sit on the cool slope and listen to the bells drift across the fold, light as falling leaves, never hurried, never sharp. The sound rises and thins and gathers again as the flock moves and settles. It is a tender, wandering music, and it loosens the day from your shoulders until your breathing grows as slow and easy as the grazing sheep. Down by the well in the middle of the village, the old rope creaks softly over its wooden wheel as the bucket is lowered into the cool dark below. There is the slow groan of the wheel turning, then a faint splash far down as the bucket meets the water, then the gentle creak again as it rises. The sounds echo a little against the stone shaft, soft and rounded. You wait nearby in the evening hush and listen to the patient work of drawing water, the rope, the wheel, the distant splash, each part unhurried. It is a sound that has filled this little square for longer than anyone remembers, and it settles over you, calm and old and kind. Down in the water meadow, where the grass grows soft and damp, a pair of mallards has paddled to the bank and settled among the sedge. They sit low on the cooling water near the shore, heads turned back, bills buried in the feathers of their backs. The drake's bright head has gone dark and quiet in the dusk. The stream slides past without a sound, and a single midge spirals up and vanishes. You can imagine the ducks rocking gently where the current barely stirs, their feathers smooth and warm, their eyes long since shut. The meadow lies pale under the first stars, and the mallards drift in their shallow bay, safe and drowsy, until the morning light returns. Along the river that winds past the village, a heron stands motionless in the shallows as the light goes. It has folded its long neck into a soft grey curve, and it rests now rather than hunts, one leg drawn up beneath its feathers. The water slides by quiet and dark, carrying the last pale gleam of the western sky. Willows lane close, their leaves still at last. You can imagine the heron as a tall grey shadow among the reeds, breathing slow, utterly unhurried, a part of the river bank itself. Nothing disturbs it. The water murmurs its endless low song, and the heron keeps its calm vigil, drowsing on its single leg as the night settles soft and complete around it. On the wooden footbridge over the brook you stand quite still, listening to the small voice of the water beneath your feet. The brook runs clear and shallow here, chattering softly over stones, and along its banks the willows trail their leaves into the dark. Overhead the sky is open and brimming, stars scattered thick above the narrow valley, their faint light caught here and there on the moving water. The night smells of cool earth and green leaves. You breathe it in slowly, feeling the day's weight loosen from your shoulders. No one passes, the village sleeps beyond the trees. You watch the stars and listen to the brook, and the two together seem to slow your thoughts to a gentle drift, easy and unhurried, until you feel wonderfully calm and ready for rest. A wicker basket of apples sits by the back door, the fruit dull-skinned and fragrant in the cool dark. You lift one and turn it slowly, feeling the faint waxy give of its skin, the small bruise soft beneath your thumb. The smell rises sweet and a little earthy, mingling with the dry, woody scent of the basket itself. Some apples are speckled, some streaked with deep red, none of them perfect, all of them calm. A few dry leaves still cling to a stem or two. You set the apple back among the others with a soft, hollow knock. There is no peeling to be done, no pie to make tonight. The basket simply holds its quiet harvest while the cool air drifts gently through the door. The harvest fields beyond the cottages lie cut and golden, the stubble catching the last low rays so the whole slope seems to shine. You lean against a wooden fence at the field's edge and let your eyes wander over the rounded sheaves standing in their rows. The air smells of dry straw and turned earth, warm and sweet. A scarecrow tilts companionably in the middle distance, its sleeves stirring only when the softest breeze passes. Far off, a hay wagon has been left at rest, its wheels half in shadow. The light thickens to the color of ripe pears, and the fields settle into a deep, easy stillness, holding the day's harvest gently as the evening folds itself down around you. In the warm gloom of the cottage parlor, you sit in a deep old chair by the unlit fireplace as the night comes on. The room smells of beeswax and dried lavender, and the faint sweetness of the summer air drifting through the open door. A long case clock ticks slowly in the corner, the only sound. Through the small window, the last grey light is fading from the lane. The chair holds the day's warmth, and you sink into it gladly. Outside, the crickets begin their evening song. A picture on the wall catches a last gleam of light and then goes dim. You let your hands rest, let your eyes half close, and let the slow tick of the clock measure out the gentle ending of the day. In the warm dark of the kitchen, the cat has curled itself into the armchair by the dying fire, a small round shape of perfect contentment. Its breathing is slow and even, and now and then a faint purr rises and fades as it dreams. The last embers glow dim orange beneath their ash, casting just enough light to gild the curve of its back. The room is warm and still and smells of wood smoke. Outside, the night holds the village in darkness, but in here all is soft and gathered and at ease. The cat shifts once, tucks its nose deeper beneath its tail, and settles again. You watch the gentle rise and fall of its sleeping side, and its complete and easy rest seems to invite you, softly, to do the very same. You are lying in a small box bed built into the wall of an old cottage, where the deep stillness wraps close around you like the wooden sides themselves. A faint breeze finds its way under the door, cool against the floor, and somewhere a curtain stirs and then hangs quiet. The fire across the room has burned down to a soft amber glow that breathes slowly in the dark. Outside, the village sleeps, and the only sound is the faint sigh of wind in the chimney, gentle as breathing. Your blanket is heavy and warm, the pillow soft beneath your cheek. You feel held and hidden and safe, and the slow movement of the breeze and the firelight carries you down, easily into rest. Across the wet meadow, the rain falls soft on the haystacks, dark and rounded shapes standing patient in the grey dusk. You watch them from the dry shelter of the field barn, where the lantern light is warm and the smell of hay is sweet and thick. The rain comes down steady over the cropped grass, gathering in the cart ruts, hanging in fine drops from the barn's low eave. The stacks shed the water gently from their thatched tops, keeping the harvest dry within. A field mouse rustles somewhere in the straw, then stills. All is calm and unhurried in the falling rain, the work all gathered in, the night deep and kind. You settle back on a heap of hay, breathe the sweet warm air, and feel sleep gathering close. The fog comes up from the river before dawn, and settles into the village like a soft grey blanket laid gently over the rooftops. You walk the lane slowly, and the cottages emerge one at a time, their chimneys breathing thin threads of smoke that lose themselves in the mist. The fences are beaded with damp, each strand of wool on the gatepost holding a tiny silver drop. Somewhere a cow shifts in its stall, unhurried, and the sound is muffled and round. Your footsteps make no echo here, the fog drinks every noise and gives back only stillness. There is nowhere you need to be. The morning will lift in its own time, and for now you simply breathe the cool, clean, settling air. From the warm settle by the fire you watch the rain stream down the cottage window in long wandering lines, each one catching the firelight as it falls. Beyond the glass, the garden has gone to soft grey shadow, the rows of beans and the little gate just visible through the wet. The fire crackles low, and a cat dozes on the hearthrug, one ear twitching at the rain. The kettle has been swung off the flame, and the room smells of wood smoke and damp, wool drying on the back of a chair. The rain keeps up its even, gentle fall, hour upon quiet hour. You sink deeper into the cushions, your book slipping closed in your lap, and let the warmth and the sound carry you towards sleep. The duck pond in the green has frozen at its edges, and the few ducks that remain huddled together on a small island of unfrozen water at its center, their heads tucked into their feathers. You stand on the snowy bank in the failing light and watch them rest, round and quiet and patient in the cold. Reeds bow under thin sleeves of ice along the margins, and the willow at the water's edge trails frozen branches toward the surface. The deep cold has stilled the green entirely, no children play, no geese call. The clouded sky glows faintly pale. You linger, breathing the frosted air slowly, feeling the gentle hush of the place, and watch the dusk gather softly over the sleeping pond and the dozing birds. The village well stands rimed with frost, its bucket hung with a fringe of tiny icicles that catch the faint light. You rest a gloved hand on the cold stone rim and look down into the dark, where far below the water lies black and still, untroubled by the deep freeze of the surface world. The snow has drifted into a soft cone over the little roof above the well, and the rope hangs stiff and silvered. All around, the square lies empty and white and hushed. The cold air is so clean it almost rings. You stand a moment in the great quiet, feeling the old patience of the well, the slow deep water waiting beneath the frost, and you let the stillness fill you gently before you turn for home. The chandler's shop has shuttered for the evening, and you pass it through streets going soft and blue, the faint clean smell of tallow and beeswax lingering in the cooling air. A single candle burns in the window of the cottage next door, its small flame steady and warm behind the old glass. The cobbles are dim now, holding only the faintest memory of the day's sun. A cat slips silently along a wall and is gone. Somewhere a baby is being sung softly to sleep, the gentle melody drifting through an open casement. The sky above the rooftops has darkened to deep indigo, pricked now with a scatter of early stars. You walk slowly on through the hushed and dreaming street, and a great, soft tiredness settles over you, easy and welcome. The long meadow lies silver under the rising moon, and you walk through it slowly, the dew soaking cool around your feet. The village is behind you now, its roofs just visible against the last pale light in the west. Out here there is only the vast soft hush of the night, and the faint sweet smell of grass and clover. You stop in the middle of the meadow and turn slowly, taking in the whole circle of the dim horizon. You remember haymaking summers here, the warm scent of the cut grass, the long golden days. The memory is gentle and asks for nothing. A moth or two drifts pale across the moonlit field. You stand quite still in the great calm of it, and your heart grows wide and untroubled. In the last of the dusk, the soft, settling sounds of the whole village come to you at once, blended into one low, gentle hush. There is the far creak of a shutter being drawn, the faint murmur of a stream, the last sleepy note of a bird, the soft tap of a latch, all woven together and softened by distance into a single quiet breath. You stand in your doorway and let this gathered hush of the place wash over you, no single sound standing out, only the calm, layered quiet of a village laying itself down for the night. It is the most soothing sound of all, this soft chorus of small endings, and it draws you, gently and completely, towards sleep. A coil of rope hangs on a peg in the shed, its fibers soft and frayed at the cut end, fuzzed into a pale tuft. You lift its weight a little and feel the rough, dry twist of it, the way it has stiffened into the shape of its long hanging. Bits of straw cling in its grooves, and it smells of hemp and dust and old wood. The coils lie one over another in patient loops, going nowhere. A faint film of cobweb stretches across the topmost curve, undisturbed. There is no load to lift, no knot to tie tonight. The rope simply hangs in the dim shed, holding its quiet shape, while the cool dark settles among the tools and the small window goes black. The snow gathers along the top of the long stone wall that runs the length of the village lane, building up in a smooth white ridge above the dark weathered stones. You walk slowly beside it, trailing a gloved hand near its snowy crest, watching the flakes settle one by one. Lichen and moss show dark beneath the white in patches, the marks of many quiet years. The lane curves gently ahead, growing paler with each falling flake. A wooden gate set into the wall wears its own soft cap of snow, lading into a garden gone still for the winter. The cold is mild, the night calm. You follow the wall at an easy pace, the snow soft underfoot, feeling the deep, settled peace of the old lane wrap quietly around you. From the granary loft, you look out through the open hatch at the rain falling steady over the darkened farmyard. Sacks of grain stand stacked in the dry behind you, and the warm, dusty smell of corn fills the timbered space. The rain comes down even and fine, silvering the yard, dripping from the cartshed roof, gathering in the trough by the pump. A barn owl sits unmoving on a beam in the far shadow, its round eyes calm. Nothing hurries, nothing calls. The rain wraps the whole farm in a soft grey hush, and the harvest lies safe and dry around you. You sit on a sack with your back against the warm boards, listening to the gentle fall, and a deep and easy drowsiness begins to settle over you. At the edge of the common, a pond lies under a blanket of mist, its surface so still it might be glass, and the rushes around it stand dark and motionless. You crouch at the bank where the grass is flattened and damp, and watch a single water boatman ripple the smooth grey skin and then go quiet. A pale, half-seen willow leans over the far side, its reflection lost in the fog. Somewhere a moorhen calls once, soft and low, and then settles. The cool air smells of water and reeds, and the green of early morning. Nothing stirs that you can see. You let the deep stillness of the pond seep slowly into you, your shoulders dropping, your thoughts going as quiet and smooth as the water under its soft grey veil. The churchyard lies still and golden in the last hour of the day, its old leaning headstones softened with moss and lit warm by the low sun. You walk the grassy path between them without any unease, for the place feels only peaceful, like a garden grown quiet with age. A yew tree spreads its dark branches near the gate, and beneath it the shadows pool deep and cool. Late roses climb a crumbling wall, their petals glowing. Somewhere a blackbird sings a few slow, liquid notes and then falls silent. The air is warm and smells of cut grass and stone. You pause by the worn lich gate, watching the light fade gently over the slumbering ground, and feel nothing but a deep and gentle calm. The lane of cottages curves gently downhill, and from the top you look out over the snow-covered roofs, each one rounded and white and softly glowing where lamplight reaches it from within. Smoke rises slow and straight from every chimney into the windless dark, the only movement in the still scene. The deep cold has driven everyone indoors, and behind the frosted windows you imagine the warm hearths, the gathered families, the quiet evenings. Snow lies smooth and unbroken along the lane below. The clouded sky holds a faint pale glow. You stand a while at the top of the hill, breathing the clean sharp air, taking in the sleeping village in its blanket of snow, and feel a deep and gentle peace settle quietly over you. From the churchyard's low wall you look out over the sleeping village, the old gravestones standing quiet and pale among the long grass around you. There is nothing fearful here, only a deep and ancient peace, the kind that has settled over this place through countless gentle nights. Above the squat stone tower the sky brims with stars, soft and unnumbered, spilling down toward the dark hills. A yew tree spreads its still branches against the glitter. The night air is cool and smells of grass and stone, and somewhere a small stream murmurs faintly beyond the wall. You rest there a while, your breathing slow, your shoulders loose. The stars wheel imperceptibly overhead, patient and kind, and you feel held by the long, quiet calm of the watching sky. Beside the cottage door, an old wooden bench faces the lane, and you sit there wrapped in a blanket as the morning slowly pales. The stone step beneath your feet is cold and damp with dew. A climbing rose, heavy with moisture, leans against the wall beside you, and now and then a drop slides from a petal and falls softly to the ground. The lane is empty and grey. A blackbird sings a few low notes from the chimney, then falls quiet again. The air is cool and smells faintly of wood smoke and wet stone. You cradle a warm cup in both hands and watch the light grow by slow degrees over the rooftops opposite, in no hurry at all, your breathing slow and your thoughts gently still. The lane to the church passes beneath an avenue of limes, and you walk it in the warm dusk through their heavy honey scent. The flowers above hum faintly with the last bees of the day, a soft, drowsy sound. As the light comes down green and dim through the leaves, even now at evening. The ground is dappled with the day's last warmth. Ahead, the squat grey tower of the church rises against a sky going slowly violet. A wood pigeon coos its low 5 notes from somewhere high in the limes, then settles. You move slowly through the sweet-smelling shade, feeling the warm, still air on your face, and let the long avenue lead you gently toward the quiet of the night. By the doorstep, a cricket has slipped indoors and chirps softly from somewhere near the warm hearthstone, a small, steady note repeating in the quiet room. It pauses, then begins again, the same gentle chirp, close and homely in the dark. There is something kind about a cricket in the house, an old sign of warmth and welcome, and its little sound fills the silence without ever disturbing it. You lie still and listen to the small singer near the embers, the chirp and the pause, the chirp and the pause, even as a slow clock. It asks nothing of you and goes nowhere, and its patient voice settles over you like a thin, warm quilt, drawing you towards sleep. Beyond the last cottage, the meadow rolls away toward the river, and the setting sun lays a path of gold across the rippling grass. You walk out into it slowly, brushing your fingertips over seed heads that release their soft dust into the warm air. Cattle stand drowsing in the far corner, their shapes growing dim and gentle as the light fades. A skylark that sang all afternoon has come down at last to its nest in the grass. The river murmurs somewhere ahead, low and steady. The sky is a wash of apricot and dove grey, and the first cool of evening touches your face like a hand. You stand still and let the quiet of the open field move through you, easy and unhurried and whole. In the hedgerow along the lane, the leaves stir in a low night breeze with a soft, continuous rustle that never quite stops. It is a dry, papery whisper, thousands of small leaves brushing against one another, rising when the wind lifts and falling to almost nothing when it drops. You walk slowly beside the hedge and let the sound travel along with you, the gentle shushing moving down the row like a quiet wave. There is nothing sudden in it, only this endless soft conversation of leaves and air in the dark. It is the sound the countryside makes when it is settling for the night, and it eases you toward the same soft quiet. The cottage garden at twilight is heavy with the scent of stocks and lavender, releasing all the sweetness the day's sun poured into them. You wander the narrow paths between the beds, your bare feet finding the warm, worn bricks. Bees have long gone home, and now the moths take their turn among the pale flowers that glow faintly in the dusk. A blackbird gives its last low warning note and falls silent. The whole garden seems to exhale as the heat softens into evening. You pause by a clump of night-scented stock and breathe it in slowly, feeling the warm air on your arms, and stand quite still among the dim and fragrant beds while the first stars gather overhead. Imagine sitting beside a low cottage hearth where a single candle burns straight and steady in the deep stillness. A faint breeze slips in beneath the threshold and the candle flame lanes once, gently, then rights itself, casting its soft warm light over the rough plaster walls. The night outside is quiet and dark, the village long since gone to rest. A spinning wheel stands idle in the corner, its shadow soft against the wall. You sit in a creaking wooden chair with a shawl about your shoulders, watching the small flame breathe and waver in the slow-moving air. There is nothing to finish and nowhere to be. The candle's gentle light and the cool breath of the breeze ease you slowly towards sleep. The window glass in the bedroom is old and wavering, full of soft ripples and tiny bubbles caught forever in the pane. You press your fingertips to its cool surface and feel the faint unevenness, the gentle warp that bends the moonlight as it passes. Through it the world outside looks softened, the dark shapes of trees blurred and dreamlike. A small bead of moisture clings in the corner, catching a single point of silver. The wooden frame around it is worn pale, its paint flaked to soft little curls. There is nothing to see and nothing to watch for, only the dim, rippling glass holding the night at a gentle distance. You let your eyes lose their focus, and the whole pane goes soft and silvery. A spool of cotton thread rests on the table, half its length unwound into a soft, pale coil. You lift it and feel how light it is, how the thread slips cool and smooth between your fingers like water. The wooden core is worn at the ends, soft-edged from handling, marked with faded numbers no longer quite legible. A single needle lies beside it, threaded and waiting, its eye catching a thin glint of light. The thread loops once across the wood grain in a lazy, unhurried curve. There is no hem to mend tonight, no seam to close. The spool only waits in the dim, holding its quiet length of thread, while the room settles around it and your thoughts begin to slow and unwind as well. The village churchyard lies quiet and golden in the late light, and you walk its grassy paths beneath the limes. Old headstones lean softly among the long grass, their weathered faces warmed by the lowering sun, mossy and gentle and at rest. Bees drift among the wildflowers that grow freely between the graves. The great lime trees stir overhead, their leaves whispering a low, continuous lullaby. A blackbird sings unhurriedly from the church roof. You find a patch of warm grass beneath a tree and sit, feeling the peace of the place settle deep around you, neither sad nor heavy, only calm. The light grows thicker and more golden, and the old churchyard seems to breathe slowly in the warmth of the fading day. The village pump stands at the corner where 3 cottages meet, its iron handle worn bright and smooth, and you pause beside it in the spring dusk where the cobbles still hold the day's warmth. A trickle of clear water seeps from its spout into the mossy stone trough below, where it has dripped, slow and steady, for longer than anyone living can recall. Ferns grow lush and green from the damp stones around it. Above the cottage rooftops, the first faint star appears in the paling sky. A door closes softly somewhere, and a lamp is lit within. The good cool smell of water and wet stone rises around you. There is a small and faithful peace in this quiet corner at evening, the patient drip of the old pump marking the gentle passing of the dusk. The duck pond on the green has gone quiet now, the birds settled along its banks for the night. You sit on the worn wooden bench at its edge, where the slats are warm from the long day's sun. The water lies dark and still, holding a single reflected lamp from a cottage window. Bulrushes stand motionless against the deepening sky. A faint smell of mud and warm grass hangs in the windless air. A moorhen gives one soft call from the reeds, and then is silent. The evening deepens slowly around you, gentle and unhurried. You let your gaze rest on the still dark water and its small bright reflection, and feel the calm of the place sink quietly into your bones. The little footbridge over the village stream wears a smooth saddle of snow along its arch, and beneath it the water moves dark and slow, too gentle to freeze. You stand at the middle of the bridge and watch the flakes fall into the stream, where they vanish the instant they touch the surface. The banks on either side are white and rounded, the grass is bowed beneath their soft load. A willow trails its bare branches toward the water, each twig outlined in delicate white. The cold is mild and the air is still, and the only sound is the faint murmur of the stream slipping by below. You rest there, hands on the snowy rail, feeling the slow peace of the place settle deep into your bones. The little village shop has long since closed, and you pass its dark window in the warm dusk, where jars of sweets and reels of thread sit dimly behind the glass. The doorstep still holds the day's heat beneath your feet. The lane is quiet, the shutters going up one by one along the row. A cat sits washing itself in a patch of fading light. From an open upstairs window comes the low murmur of someone settling a child for the night. The air smells of warm dust and the sweetness of a nearby garden. You walk on slowly past the sleeping shop fronts, the warm evening wrapped close around you, and feel the gentle rhythm of the village folding itself away into the dark. The fields are being readied for the day, but in this first hour everything is still. You walk along the headland between two ploughed fields, the rich brown earth dark and damp from the night. Crows pace slowly across the furrows, pecking without urgency, their feathers dull in the soft grey light. A scarecrow lanes at an angle, its straw arms hung with dew. The mist lies in a low sheet over the far end of the field, and the hedges drip steadily. The air smells of cold soil and crushed grass. Nothing here is in any hurry, least of all you. You stop and rest your hand on a wet wooden gate, watching the patient crows and the slow lifting mist, and feel a deep, easy quiet settle through you. The track up to the pasture is steep and worn, and you climb it slowly in the cool morning, pausing often to look back over the valley. Below, the village lies small and quiet under its drifting mist, the rooftops just catching the first faint light. The grass underfoot is wet and springy, and sheep graze the slope above, their soft tearing of the turf the only sound. A light, cool wind moves over the hill, smelling of grass and damp stone. You reach a flat ledge and sit on a lichened rock, your legs pleasantly tired, looking out at the wide, hazy view. The world is slow and vast and gentle from up here, and you feel your breathing settle into a deep and easy calm. The cottage windows along the lane have begun to glow with soft lamplight as the dusk deepens, and you walk slowly past them in the cooling evening air. Each small golden square holds its own quiet scene of homeliness and rest, half glimpsed through panes of old glass. The lane itself has gone to soft blue shadow, though the western sky still holds a last band of rose and amber above the rooftops. A few late leaves drift down and settle on the path. The smell of wood smoke drifts gently from the chimneys. Somewhere a door closes softly against the coming night. You walk on without hurry through the tender dusk, comforted by the scattered warm lights of the village, feeling the whole quiet place settling slowly and peacefully towards sleep. The forge is cool and quiet now, the great fire banked and dim, and you sit on the smith's old bench in the gathering dark. By day this place rings with hammer and flame, but in the evening it grows still as a chapel, the tools hung silent on their hooks. A last faint glow lingers in the hearth, casting soft shadows on the blackened walls. You breathe in the familiar smell of iron and coal and old wood. You remember watching the sparks fly here as a child, the patient ringing rhythm of the work. The memory warms you like the dying fire. Outside the village lane is empty and dark. You rest your hands on your knees and let the deep quiet of the forge settle into your bones. The schoolhouse stands dark and quiet on the green, its small windows frosted, the bell silent in its little cote above the door. You walk past slowly through the deep snow, looking up at the steep white roof and the icicles fringing its eaves. The yard where children play by day lies smooth and untouched, the gate half buried in a drift. The deep cold holds everything in stillness, and the air smells of frost and old stone. A lamp from a cottage across the green casts a faint warm glow over the snow. You pause a while, taking in the patient sleeping building, the empty white yard, and feel the gentle quiet of the place settle over you, the winter night soft and kind and unhurried all around. Near the kitchen hearth, the fire has burned low, and now only the soft crackle and settle of the embers keeps the room company. A small flame licks once and falls back. A coal shifts with a faint crumble, a thread of warmth ticks in the cooling iron of the grate. The sounds are tiny and far apart, each one a small soft punctuation in the deep quiet of the house. You sit in the worn chair in the glow and let the dying fire murmur to you, the crackle, the settle, the long gentle pauses. There is nothing left to tend, only this warmth easing toward ash, and its quiet sounds draw your eyelids slowly down. Down the sunken lane, the banks rise high and green on either side, and the blue hour has pooled deep and cool in the hollow way. You walk slowly through it, ferns brushing soft against your hands, the earth path quiet underfoot. Roots curl from the banks like sleeping creatures, and the smell of damp moss and leaf mold fills the still air. Above, between the arching hedges, runs a narrow ribbon of darkening sky where the first star shows. A wood pigeon gives its soft and drowsy call from somewhere overhead. You feel wrapped and sheltered in the green dusk of the lane, and you walk on gently, in no hurry at all, while the quiet deepens kindly all around you. The narrow back lane is walled on both sides with old grey stone, and ivy spills over the tops in dark, wet cascades. You walk slowly along it in the early light, your hand trailing now and then over the cool, mossy stone. The mist has not yet lifted, and it softens the lane into something half-dreamed, the far end vanishing into pale grey. Tiny ferns grow from cracks between the stones, hung with dew. A snail rests on the wall, its shell glistening. No one else is about, and the only sound is the faint drip of water from the ivy. The cool, green hush of the lane wraps around you, unhurried and gentle, and you let your steps grow slower and your thoughts grow soft and still. The village smithy's yard opens onto a small paddock where the cart horses are turned out for the night, and tonight you lean upon the wooden rail and watch them under the bright moon. The great gentle beasts stand or lie at ease upon the silvered grass, their broad backs gleaming softly, their long tails swishing slow and lazy. One lifts its heavy head to regard you, ears pricked, then lowers it again to graze. Their slow breathing and the soft tearing of grass are the only sounds in the still night. The paddock is bordered by an old hedge, dark and dense, and beyond it the moonlit fields roll away. The air is warm and smells of grass and horse and clean night. You rest your arms upon the rail and watch the quiet horses, and a deep and easy peace fills you. Beside the village inn, a stone trough holds water gone still and cold, its surface dusted with a soft layer of snow. The inn's windows glow amber, and through the wavy old glass you can see shapes moving slow and warm within, though no sound reaches the street. You stand in the falling snow, content to be on the outside of that warmth for a moment, watching the flakes settle on the cobbles. A lantern by the inn door sways the smallest amount and then is still. The snow keeps coming down in the windless dark, gentle as anything, gathering on the trough, the doorstep, the worn boot scraper by the threshold. Everything feels held in place, soft and certain, in the deep quiet of the night. In the dim of the blue hour, you sit on the worn wooden bench beside the cottage door, a shawl about your shoulders. The garden before you has lost its colors and turned to gentle shades of gray and violet, the roses now soft shadows nodding on their stems. The day's heat rises faintly from the path, mingling with the cool, descending air. A blackbird gives one last drowsy note from somewhere in the apple tree and then falls silent. You watch the first faint stars appear, one by one, like lamps being lit in a faraway house. Your hands rest easy in your lap, and the stillness wraps close around you, and there is nowhere at all you need to go. In the snug parlor of the old house you settle into the deep armchair by the window, a soft woolen blanket across your knees. The lamp on the side table glows low and amber, and outside the snow falls thick and silent over the sleeping village. You have nothing to do this evening but watch it come down, each flake drifting past the glass into the dark. The fire ticks softly in the grate. You remember winters past spent in this same chair, warm and safe while the world turned white beyond the panes. The memory is as comfortable as the blanket on your knees. The snow keeps falling, slow and endless, and a deep peace settles over you, soft and heavy as the drifts gathering on the sill. Inside the quiet cottage, the fire has burned down to soft embers that glow a deep, sleepy orange. You sit by the hearth as the first grey light slips through the small window and lays a pale square upon the stone floor. The kettle waits on its hook, not yet warm. A cat is curled on the rug, breathing slow and even one ear twitching at some small dream. The room smells of wood smoke and the herbs that hang drying from the rafters. Outside, the village has not yet stirred. You watch the embers shift and settle, listening to the gentle tick of cooling stone, and feel the slow, warm hush of early morning gather softly around you. In the old dairy, cool and dim, the afternoon sun reaches through a small high window to light the worn stone shelves. You stand in the gentle quiet, where shallow pans rest in rows and the air smells faintly sweet and clean. A shaft of gold falls across the flagstone floor, warming a single bright patch in the cool shade. Outside you can hear the soft sounds of the farmyard, a hen, a distant gate, all muffled and far away. The thick stone walls hold the day's heat at bay, keeping the dairy hushed and restful. You stand a while in the cool and the quiet, watching the slow beam of light, and feel the calm of the still, simple room settle deep within you. A length of lace lies draped over the back of a chair, fine and yellowed, its pattern a soft tangle of loops and tiny flowers. You lift one edge and feel how light it is, how it seems almost to float between your fingers, dry and delicate as a cobweb. Here and there a thread has come loose, curling softly, but the pattern holds. The lace smells faintly of cedar and old paper, of a drawer long closed. Where the dim light falls through it, a faint shadow pattern lays itself across the chair seat, intricate and still. There is nothing to mend, nothing to wear it for. The lace only rests in the quiet, keeping its delicate shape, while the evening light grows soft and grey around it. You sit on the low garden wall at the lane's gentle bend, your feet swinging just above the soft grass, and look out over the dim shapes of the sleeping village. The night has settled deep and mild, and the lane is silent, no cart or footstep stirring. Above the dark roofs the stars stretch wide and crowded, soft layer upon soft layer, a serene glittering that seems to deepen the longer you gaze. A faint scent of honeysuckle drifts from the wall behind you, sweet in the cool air. You rest your palms on the cool stone and breathe slowly, your thoughts unwinding into the quiet. There is no hurry in the night, no task awaiting you. You simply sit and watch the patient stars above the little village, and a deep, gentle peace settles slowly through you. Tucked beneath the patchwork quilts in the children's room, you listen to the rain on the little dormer window while the rushlight burns low. Beyond the glass the night is soft and grey, the rain falling steady on the cottage roof and the garden below. The room is warm with the day's gathered heat, and smells faintly of clean linen and the lavender in the chest. A wooden doll sits propped on the windowsill, watching the weather with painted calm. The rain comes down even and gentle, a sound as old and kind as any lullaby. You pull the quilts to your chin and follow each soft drop with your ears, slower and slower, until the rain and your breathing are one and the same, and sleep slips softly in. Beside the hearth, the old grandmother sits in her chair with her knitting resting in her lap, half finished, her hands grown still. You watch the firelight move gently across the room, gilding the worn beams and the row of pewter plates on the shelf. The cold presses at the small windows, ferned with frost, but the fire keeps it kindly at bay. A log shifts and sends up a soft shower of sparks that fade before they reach the chimney's dark throat. The cat stretches and resettles on the warm hearthstone. The deep winter night holds the cottage close, and here all is soft and golden and slow. You feel the comfort of it settle into your bones, your eyelids growing heavy in the gentle warmth. Out by the duck pond, the soft, contented quacking of the birds settling for the night drifts low across the water. It is a sleepy, murmuring sound, a few muttered notes from one duck, then another answering as they shuffle close together on the bank. There is the faint slap of a webbed foot, the rustle of feathers being tucked, then quiet, then a low murmur again. You sit on the cool grass and listen to the little flock easing into sleep, their soft talk growing slower and farther apart. The pond holds the last light, and the gentle, drowsy quacking fades by degrees into stillness, and your own eyes grow heavy as the ducks fall silent. Let the stillness gather you in. The village sleeps, the lanes are quiet, and there is nothing left of the day to carry. Feel how warm and heavy you have grown, how the surface beneath you holds every part of you so kindly. Let your breath slow and your thoughts fade, and let yourself sink softly towards sleep. There is nowhere else to be tonight. Simply rest here in the warm dark where all is calm and gentle. With each slow breath, drift a little further from waking, until you slip quietly over the edge into a deep and peaceful sleep.